All right, we're going to call our meeting to order at the Public Works Building. It's February the 24th, Tuesday, and 9 o'clock. We're good for our normal agenda. We're going to do the invocation followed by pledge of allegiance. Let's pray. Father God, we just praise you and thank you for all you do in our lives, Lord. We thank you for this council. We thank you for our staff and our citizens and community, Lord. We ask that you give us the wisdom, the grace, and the decision-making guidance that we need today to get through this meeting. In Matthew's 18:20, it says, where two or more gathered, that you're amongst us. I'd like to take advantage of that and pray for our city clerk, that Tammy, that her wife, husband is having surgery, selective surgery today, and we just ask that that goes well and that he recovers well. I also want to throw out a prayer to the President of the United States tonight for the State of the Union and just give him direction to do well with that. We praise you and thank you for all you do in our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're good to start. Take roll call, please.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Fasagi?
Here.
Mr. Adams?
Here.
Ms. Hamilton? Here. Mayor Wolf?
Here. First two item on there is a consent agenda for minutes for January the 13th and January the 27th. January the 27th is like reading a book. 6 pages. So, did everybody go through that? Any questions, any changes, anything? They're accepted?
Yes.
Let's move to the regular agenda. We're getting started on the 4th Street. On the 4th Street, ask for public discussion closed and then discussion and motion. There's no need to do all that. This is all authorization under 10,000. We'll go ahead and have the city administrator go over them. If we have some questions at the table, we'll go ahead and go over those.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Anytime we start digging, we always find something we didn't expect or find something that was in the wrong place that we didn't expect. And there's always a change order here and there when you come to do a major project like this. We have come across a couple things that required some quick decision making. One of the first things we found was there was an existing storm pipe in the way. We had to remove and replace a fire hydrant. That amount of money was $4,513.50. We had ordered them to go ahead and proceed and take care of those issues so as not to stop the process. Something else that we found while we had the Florida intersection at 4th uncovered is that we found the main stormwater pipe going underneath Florida to be crushed. And so that's a problem. And of course that really is not related to this particular issue for this project, but we have a construction firm on site with the necessary equipment. So this needed to be taken care of, because had we waited and said we'll do it at another time, we would have had to go out for bids, would have had to take care of the increase in prices due to the mobilization of that equipment that we had previously mentioned. So the $9,996.54 approval was given because it's best to do it while they're here, while the hole is open, and mobilization was not being issued. So that's cheaper now or more expensive later. That last item was a project that had to do with a 10-inch water main that was in the way of the elevation for the 18-inch pipe for the stormwater. So what we had to do was remove some of the pipe. We had to do a new elevation. And that price was $9,406.15. We ordered them to go ahead and proceed to fix that. Because had we not, we'd have had to try to find some different way of cracking this nut, shall we say. And that would have delayed the whole project. There is a clause in the contract that whenever this thing is delayed, not due to the contractor, they could charge us $4,500 a day. I didn't want to have to pay $4,500 a day. So at this point, we ordered them to go ahead and proceed to take care of that. So those are the 3 items, Your Honor, if there's any questions.
I guess just maybe a statement. I know one of the things we haven't done in the past is use any type of contingency. It's obviously something we're going to have to take up. And normal contingencies run in the line of 10 to 15%. Well, we hit that on the first change order. So I was a little bit concerned going from 38 to an additional 21. I went down there and looked at everything, talked with Elizabeth Moore Engineering and kind of how it was set up. Have some concerns, obviously, of what we can see and didn't see and what we flagged and didn't flag. I think all in all, it sounded like we did our job, but like Mel said, I think once you get underneath that dirt and start seeing additional things, it really impacted. So being 35% over the budget is quite a bit for change orders. Really, we're over about 15% because we would have given a contingency of 10 or 15%. That was my concern, but I understand the decision making. And I, after I talked with Elizabeth at engineering, I asked her to call all the council people, and I hope that she explained the same thing to you.
Mayor, in some ways, isn't this really, the costs they're important, but in some ways, it's not really related to the Fourth Street project, because this damage was pretty much independent of what work is going on. So I guess my suggestion moving forward when we get to budget season is we just have more of a city contingency fund, separate from this project contingency fund. Not saying that we don't need contingency funds on these projects. You know, I think we can cover the cost of this based on other monies that we have either set aside for this during the 2026 budget, or in the case of the overestimate of the roundabout down at Canal Parkway. We have a lot of money left over.
Well, luckily, this all fell under the 0.5% tax that the city has not spent in over 10 years.
There you go.
So I think we had something like $1.5 million in that account. So we need to do some repairs, obviously. Yes, sir.
The couple things I had, was, and Mel explained some of this. One, I just want to know, so we did a lot of stormwater work with a previous company up and down Florida.
Avcon?
Was it at the previous contractor a couple of years ago? Did not do the research, but we went through there and opened up ditches and did some replacement. And so that Florida Avenue pipe was never, I guess it was never caught, because I know we did some work, a lot of work around Florida Avenue and stuff. So that was one of my, I guess what I'm getting to is the main concerns of how this was not caught. And Mel explained to me that when Anchor come on, when we did the work or the task order with Anchor for 4th Street, that was noted, we only did a couple items we were going to piggyback on. Avcon had already, I'm talking about 2 different things here, so I'm getting over to the Avcon with the 4th Street, that they had already done the research, and so we did not task Anchor to go back out and to relook at this, and that relates more to the 18-inch having to be adjusted for the main. So I would like to, one, I know things come up, but it just seems like these things should have been caught at some point before the bid went out.
Jason, I agree, and conversation I had with Elizabeth was along those lines, that if we all remember, there was a bunch of hurricane repair, that 36-inch storm drain up Florida. And at that point, I don't know how you miss a crushed 36-inch pipe. And I know Anchor was not our inspection firm on that work, I don't think. But you would have thought the 36-inch being crushed, when the inspector, ran cameras and all, they would have identified that. But back to Eric's point, I do think as you go into the next budget season, a citywide contingency fund is probably a good idea to fund every year.
So to wrap up, so Mel explained, I did not talk, Elizabeth did leave me a message, I did not reach out and talk to her. Mel explained to me what was going on the 4th Street side, which I thought immediately would have been her, but they said no, they did not, we went off the AFCON. But long story short, we still have, somebody has looked at that, we don't know if the Florida thing came up. But anyway, where we're at now, and it's got to be finished. The only other thing I'd have to say is I would like to see the money, it would be the 24,000, somewhere in there, that why don't we just, since we had the cul-de-sac wrapped into this 4th Street, and the cul-de-sac came out to the 38,000 and some change, and we had 150, do we want to just pull that money from that so we know? I'm just bringing this up at the table so Mike knows where to, because I want to start noting, we talked about this before, when these changes come, I want it noted where money's coming from and what we're doing.
The only thing there is that you might want to look at is, if you remember, AvCon did a study that has money in it on the grant.
Mm-hmm.
We had talked at maybe taking this and putting it back on that grant if there was a possibility to do that.
And didn't we pull some funds from the Canal Parkway cul-de-sac overrun for storm repair after the tornado? Isn't that where we pulled it from? I don't remember.
I don't think we've touched it.
We haven't touched it.
We haven't touched it.
We'll
Just
just talk about that today, though.
Whatever, I know these were under the 10,000 and Mel has the authority, but I'm bringing it up. And if you wanted to come from those tax dollars, I just think we should know where the money is gonna wind up.
Well, there's no question we gotta do a budget amendment at some point here in the future, and that's where Mike is making note of what we gotta do. But like the mayor said, this half-cent surtax money, we've not spent any of that since its inception. And so that's over $1 million just sitting there. So the uses of that money are for roads, streets, and stormwater.
But didn't we, so you're bringing that up, and I want to clarify this because it's some conversations me and Mike have had in the past. We talked about that money, but didn't we, so the 4th Street project, we decided, didn't we, on the pedestrian bridge, didn't we decide to use what we needed on the half-cent sales tax to fund the rest of the bridge? Is that not correct? So I'm just saying we have that million something is still in the bank, and Mike's been working on that. He's told us in the last couple of meetings that he's gonna start putting these items, because it is confusing. We go months and then we come back to the table and we may need to move money from somewhere for something else. We need to be on track of what we've allotted out of these funds, and I know Mike was.
He might talk about a little bit about that.
That's all I have to say is, do we want to decide where the.
Well, just to dovetail on that, if we don't pull it from the cul-de-sac portion of this project, then what happens to those designated funds that we're not gonna spend?
Well, that's part of what we need to start with Mike, tracking not only what the change orders that over, but if we have unders, it's almost like that extra 200, we'll talk about it in a little bit, it's in another note. The extra sales tax money that we got. The council needs to know this list of items, whether it's positives, negatives, not these little dollar ones, but when we get into, we're having
Tens,
a lot
20s, 30s, 50s.
big money for stuff, I'd just like to know where it's coming from and what we're doing. Is that fair?
Yes.
And that's what, I think Mike's working on that, the individual accounts.
Actually, got something for you.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my.
Right, because we asked for that months ago, so we'll get that put together. I think my suggestion in this point is to stick to the category that supports the financial expenditure. And that category is met with that 0.5% tax for roads and streets, rather than putting it somewhere else and be challenged.
I agree.
I could go with either one. I just know, like you said, the cul-de-sac, we're 111,000 and some change to the good on that, so.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, we're gonna be talking about that on
Yeah.
7th Street, so that may be an area to spend it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, good move. Decisions made, we just need to notify the council.
Mm-hmm.
We're good. Thank you. Any more questions on that, anybody? All right, that's 4th Street. 7th Street walkovers, here we go.
Yeah, we've kind of touched on this at town already, but nonetheless, the bid for the 7th Street walkover was awarded to MKM Quality Construction, who are out of Mexico Beach, by the way. That was at the February 10th City Council meeting. The notice to proceed is being held until which time we find the funding. You may recall that there were 2 walkovers bid and received and awarded at that meeting. The Sunset Park is being funded by our Mexico Beach CDC, which we really appreciate. But now we got to find funding for the 7th Street walkover. In a perfect world, we build them at the same time. So that would be great if we were to find the money. So we have some alternatives when it comes to finding that extra money. Number one, we can wait until the next fiscal year so that the Mexico Beach CDC and the city can budget funds for this particular project. That means it's not going to get done for a while. The city can do a budget amendment to pay for the project now due to unspent areas of the budget. The Canal Parkway cul-de-sac was budgeted at $150,000. The actual cost will be below $40,000. That's one area where we could use part of those funds. We received $200,000 in unexpected state revenues. That's another place to get some of the funding. And of course, the park impact fees could be used for this purpose. Some may think that a walkover might be a stretch, but keep in mind that park impact fees in the past have funded things like issues at the boat ramp and the canal, things of that sort. So the walkover is kind of an extension of the park and of the beach. We can also search for grant opportunities. Hunter Bailey and his team from North Florida Professional Services are doing research to try to find some grant funds for this purpose if we decide to go that route. But of course, we will have to have some matching grant funds in all likelihood. So those are the alternatives. I'm throwing it out to the council for direction.
Do we have an estimated number on that now?
138,000 or some change for the.
Is that close to what Sunset was?
Sunset was 144, 145.
Yeah, 145. So where we're at is, just to recap, Sunset Park we've already approved. That's a go, right?
We've actually awarded both bids, and I'll speak on it when you get ready on something else.
And the 7th Street we awarded, we just need to find out how we spend the money. Okay.
Right.
And then the third is the one we're working on, the grant, that at some point we're gonna have either a workshop or a public meeting to find out where do we put the third one. So we'll put that together, the workshop, pick a date and we'll go with that.
So I have a question before we debate. the 200,000 in unexpected state revenues, I'm not remembering that. Where was that from?
Mike,
That was sales tax that when Bay County exceeded its threshold, that it says that our percentage of that money was greater than what we normally get on a monthly basis.
Okay. Okay. So I do remember your recalculation a couple of days before the budget was due, and we found an extra bucket of money, and I thought it was an extra 200,000. But this is different.
This is
This
different.
is different. Okay. So the reason I want to bring that up is we as a council got that email late in the budget process, and we had a meeting the next business day, which was a Monday, as I recall, the day before the budget was due to the county. And we all agreed that, well, it's great that we found all this money. We don't have time to decide where to put it, so let's just lower the millage rate by another 0.25%, and that's what we did. So that money's already been accounted for, so that's why I was asking. This is separate. Money's sitting there in the pot, but it's not been accounted for, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
okay, so, on the 7th Street, where do we want to use that money? We have 3 options.
Could I speak?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
As far as that goes, my first option would be the park impact fees. Those fees are, if y'all talked to Mike a lot, they're very hard to find uses for them. And that fund, Mike's got it in here, and I should have turned to it. Mike, what is it? That fund's got, in your budget, it's got $600,000 in it.
Rate ratio impact fees has $526,523.
So, if we can use those impact fees, that would be my first go-to, because they're so hard to spend. And therefore, we're still, because the tax dollars would be way more easy to keep in the bank and use for something different. And then obviously the cul-de-sac money can stay in there if for an emergency. I mean, we have more options for those too, and if we could definitely use the park impact fees.
Yeah, if we're at that cul-de-sac money, we're not gonna reach it with the 110 anyways, so.
Yeah, so, and then the other thing I wanted, on a separate note, I wanted to let the council know that at our last TDC meeting, the board did approve the funding for Sunset Park, so it's been approved, it's done. So that is, and one thing that was brought up, and this is on both of these, it's a little different, is, and Mel said that the DEP permits have been filed. So we're dealing, because this came up at the TDC meeting, we've got to remember turtle season is in May. So these projects have to be started before that season. So let's just be cautious. One, the TDC is looking at, okay, they're gonna pull it in this budget year. We're just kind of working with that. And then two, for our own benefit, if we do a lot of money, do you think we can get these things rolling by turtle season? I think
That's a worthy goal.
Yeah.
it just affects, you know, it can put us back 3 or 4 months.
I mean, just like a grant, I mean, they're giving us money too, so we have to go by a date and a requirement, so we need to meet those.
Yeah.
If we lose.
Anyway, no, back to this thing.
So just a point of clarification. We gave them notice to proceed on Sunset Park. Is that correct?
It's in the process of the paperwork, yes.
And it's almost March 1st, so to assume they're gonna get started within 60 days should be reasonable.
Well, we have to have that DEP permit. That's the catch. We can't go out there without the DEP permit. So just so, I don't know where that is, and that's another whole, can be, you know, discussions in the office.
Okay, having that date, we can check the limitations, see what we.
Well, last thing we wanna do is screw around and lose the money. So I'm assuming we get the permit, but if turtle season is started, then we can't start construction during turtle season.
You gotta start, from what I've gathered, and I would want clarification, as long as you're started before.
So
the project can
that,
continue.
there again, we all understand bureaucracy, right? And DEP is part of that. So if we don't get a permit in 60 days, the contractor can't start, which is kind of a moot point as to where the money's coming from. I agree with you, the impact fees seem to be, because we have more discretionary use of the other money. The leftover Canal Parkway could go into a contingency fund, we could designate it however. Park impact fees, you got to
Yeah,
spend something attached to
And,
it.
and on the other one, the Sunset Park, I just want the council to know, it's not, the TDC is not, there's no indication that they were gonna, it just might roll into another budget, you know how budget years go.
Correct,
If
yeah.
something was to happen, I don't think that's gonna happen, and they're on board with
But
doing Sunset Park.
aside from the finance side of it, I think, I can't speak for the rest of you all at the table, but doggone it, we've been talking about walkovers for 2 years.
Yes.
You know, excuse my frustration, but let's make something happen.
It's time to cut bait.
Well, we gotta get the permit, the DEP's.
Yeah, so I second everything Jason said about the source of the money. If the park impact fees seems appropriate. In fact, I'm ready to earmark another 138,000 for the next walkover
Well-
if that money's there. But
Let's
that's
concentrate on this.
that's for future discussion. But I mean, we're we're up against the clock, not just for turtle season, but we've got residents here in town who want
Who need it.
access back to the beach. We've been
They
talking
need
about it. We need to get these walkovers built because we as a council want to see how these first 3 go, so that we have knowledge, we have muscle memory, we know what it's going to take to build more.
Well,
All right, so we have the authorization to move forward. Jason brought a piece of information on a date. You can get with Kimberly at CDC, make sure that we meet that date or requirement as to what constitutes a starting point, and we get started. I think that's the best way to approach it.
Yeah, we're definitely moving forward. I mean, I don't have a doubt, we've awarded the bids. I just brought up a simple fact that we have to be conscious of.
Well, I
Because they come
understand,
quick.
I understand that, but I also understand the
Yeah.
slow-moving paper.
I get it.
And, you know, we have no control once we file for permits, how quickly or how slowly that happens. So, yeah, let's approve where the money's coming from and get it going.
Okay, are we good with I'm good with the impact fees. I think I heard a couple different people.
I think that's the way to go with the park impact fee, since that's a difficult to spend resource anyway. Why not use that and move promptly, since I think that price is locked in, you said mail at 90 days. So that clock is ticking too, so we don't want the price of it to go up while we're playing around with how we're gonna pay for it. So to me, that sounds like the most logical way to move forward on that one.
All right, we have a consensus to move forward with the park impact fees for the 7th Street funding.
And the intent is to do a budget amendment once Mike gets his ducks in a row.
Do a couple of them, do a few of them at one time.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Moving on in Navarre, the award, no.
Yes, the MVARA folks do an awesome job for the city. They have for years and will continue to for a number of years. They did go through the process of doing the bids. They received them. Each member of the group did a review and scored the Walter Marine's bid. And Walter Marine, by the way, was the only bidder for this project. But they still went through the process of doing the review of the whole project to make sure it was in compliance. Walter Marine's bid for $132,250 will include 8 super reefs with ecosystems and AJ poles. Don't ask me what an AJ pole is, but I don't have to understand it. Nonetheless, keep in mind that when the bids were opened on February 9th and we were evaluated by the members, FWC also has authorized us to proceed with awarding the contract to Walter Marine. The funding for this is not city funds at all. We are the pass-through agent. So the grant fund that MBRA had received will pay for $60,000, and the remaining $72,250 will be provided by MBARA. And the reason we are the pass-through agent is these type of grants are not allowed to independent agencies. They have to be a governmental agency, so we act as a pass-through agent. So at this point, I request that the city council bid the award and contract documents to Walter Marine for $132,250.
Okay, before we proceed on that, are there any public comments on that? MBR contract funding? We can close the public discussion. Any discussion at the table?
Seems pretty cut and dry.
Motion to approve or deny?
Go ahead.
I make a motion, we approve the Mexico Beach Artificial Reef Association bid award for $132,250 to Walter Marine.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Julie, take the roll, please.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Fasagi?
Yes.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamilton?
Yes?
Mayor Wolf?
Yes. Ordinance 882, beach vending ordinance, first reading. Mr. Mel?
Yes, Your Honor. At the, one of our previous meetings, we came across an incident where one of the beach vending operators was in the category of having to have required a $1 million per occurrence and $3 million aggregate for their insurance, when in fact they had no motorized vehicles and stuff which would rise to that level. So after a review of the ordinance, the city attorney and I tried to find a way to go ahead and take care of this particular issue. So under, let's see, that would be letter C of 114.08 of the insurance requirements. We took out numbers 6 and 10 out of that particular paragraph, which it's not listed here, but that is when you go back and look at the previous section. That's for surfboards, canoes, and kayaks. And this particular vendor had kayaks, canoes, and surfboards. So the language was put in to take that out and also require them to have a $500,000 per occurrence and $1 million aggregate for their insurance requirements, which is up and above the minimum of $250,000 and $500,000. So that is what we did to cure the problem that we had previously brought up before the city council.
Okay, do we have a motion to read ordinance 882 by title only?
I'll make a motion to read ordinance 882 by title only.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Make a roll down. Or Julie?
Mrs. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Fasagi?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mayor Wolf?
Yes.
Ordinance 882, an ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending section 114.08 of the Code of Ordinances, codified portions of ordinance numbers 688 and 852, providing for repealer, codification, severability, and an effective date.
We didn't open to the public. Any public discussion on that? We'll close the public. Come to the table. The only thing I had on that was, this was a class 1 permit, right?
Correct.
So the only thing we're changing on class 1 is only because of the non-motorized items. That's the only thing that would change in the class 1.
In a roundabout way, yes, sir. But then when it came to the Class 1 insurance requirements, it had that requirement that you had to have the upper level insurance requirement if you had canoes and kayaks and that sort of thing.
So we basically lowered it if you don't have any motorized items.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Any discussion at the table?
No, that was not a question. It kicks back if they do it, I read it, it kicks back when they'll have to come and get the proper coverage if they start. Because we only have, what, 4 of those locations? What were the class ones?
They're listed specifically, yes.
That's what we have here. And it's so much easier to change the ordinance than have to
Yeah.
change and add another class and write another.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Just a general question, where do we come up with the dollar amounts? 1,000, or 1 million versus 3 million, and 250,000 versus 500,000? Are those historical, or are they best practices? Where did
We had some, I think we had some input from the attorney and also Panama City Beach and Panama City.
Yes, sir. The subparagraph A numbers were already there, the 250, 500, and then paragraph B numbers went to $1 million, 3 million. Again, looking at other jurisdictions, and then these numbers were something less than that, and Mel and I had a conversation about where should that less be, and so we were proposing the 500 and
Thank you.
All right, everybody good? Okay, then close that. Move on to ordinance 884, personnel policy update. First reading, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city had contracted with Prosper HR for service related to human resource issues. Having them on board as a consultant has been a godsend for us. Their professionalism that they have brought to the table, their knowledge about the processes for human resources has been immeasurable. One of the benefits of having this firm as a contractor is the fact that they went ahead and reviewed our Mexico Beach personnel policy, and we asked them to do rewrites and additions, subtractions, that sort of thing, to come up with a policy that follows best practices with other communities. And they did do a very nice rewrite. We had certain senior staff members to kind of help go through that process. The policy was further reviewed by our full senior staff at our normal Wednesday morning staff meeting. And so the good thing about this is the rewrite is part of our annual contract, so the cost of this was minimal. We have required that the personnel policy be approved by ordinance, and in the ordinance it's approved by reference. The only thing you will see in the packet is the version that does not have an index. And we did not go to the trouble of doing an original version with the strikeout underlying stuff, because we wanted this to be a new document, not something that we've used in the past and make it better, but just from a different perspective to look at what changes need to be made. And looking through the whole document, you know, at the very beginning on page 4, the objectives, those were increased significantly from the old version. We also did the code of conduct and ethics section, which was previously just one paragraph. Now it's like a page and a half. So we've added professional communication and conduct. We've expanded the personal appearance section. We also adjusted the smoking policy to make it more stringent. And we did the harassment section. We increased that significantly as well. So those are the highlights of the changes that we've made and expansions we've made. So at this point, it's up for the public and the city council for discussion.
I'm gonna ask for a motion to read 884 by title only.
I'll make a motion that we read ordinance 884 by title only.
I'll second it.
Motion second, Julie. Call roll, please.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Fasagi?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Wolf?
Yes. Again, open public discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. Let her read it.
Ordinance 884, an ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida relating to personnel policies of the city, amending ordinance number 798 and all prior ordinances, resolutions, motions, or other actions pertaining to city personnel policies, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Now we'll open the public. Is there any questions on the policy? Come on up.
Jim Bush, 130 Palm Street. I've searched for the policy online and can't find it. So before anybody in the public can comment, we need to be able to know where we can find it and read it.
Okay.
It was on the city website.
Yeah.
I didn't find it. Where is it on the city website?
We can walk you through it if you want to, when we're done here. Come on up, Julie. Or, I'm sorry.
You really don't recognize
I'm
it, do
never
you?
getting that. It's that hair down, I don't know what's going on.
You really don't. This is just a note for the future. If this is a new policy, please make sure that people like us on the Planning and Zoning Board who are apparently subject to this policy are aware of all of this, because that's been a question in the past.
Mayor, there is one other thing that was done with this, it was sent to FDM, for our Department of Emergency Management, in regards to our pay policy in response to hurricanes and so on and so forth. It was sent back with very, very minor changes. They were made very, very quickly, literally the next day, and it has been approved by them as far as our pay policy is concerned within that. So they really have done a phenomenal job putting this together, and they've checked every single box possible. So.
Chief, by pay policy, you mean the emergency pay?
Yeah, exactly. The emergency pay part of it, because obviously if we don't get that correct, what happens is FEMA will look at that when they're going to do reimbursements for us. If we don't do exactly what it says in our policy, or they think a word means this and we thought it meant that, that's why we had FDM look at it, so they were 100% certain that we had written it in a way that was correct. So, and that was basically, it has been checked and triple checked by as many people as is possible to make it as good a document as possible.
Thank you, Chief Sandy. Any other comments from the public? Good, we close the public, move to the table.
I like how it did address even AI issues, which would not have even been around the last time we did the handbook. But what is it, every 3 to 5 years that it should be reviewed? How often?
In that time frame.
Okay, so are we probably behind? And it was long overdue anyway to review this?
2022 was the last
Okay,
update.
okay, so not too bad. Okay.
I had a few comments, just one main, if you're done this.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing I'd ask, I know we had professionals do this, but you're also asking for us to vote on this. And I would like to, on items, I would like to have had another copy strict, what changed exactly. Just because, could I go back and pull the handbook and do it all myself? Yes, but it would have been nice if we're doing something, especially that I have to vote on, I would like to have seen what items are. I'm gonna trust that this HR firm has done everything in the best interest of the city and move on.
Yeah, it's a first reading, Jason, so we're not gonna, it's just open for discussion, that's all it is. So any changes between now and the second reading, you can get more information. We're just trying to bring out things like that up, so you obviously wanna see what's old, what's new.
Yeah, it's nice, and just other things that flowed through, I just like to know when we're really taking a vote, it's a serious issue, to just have that.
Okay, and we all know, I mean, because all of us sat at this table and hired a professional group to do this, which I think is outstanding. You did a good job there. So we got the right help. I think we have the right input. We've been looking at the handbook, believe it or not, back when we did the original audit, when JLAC audited us, and we had to make some changes in it. So I think we're on the right track. If you have some concerns and want to find out line by line, get with the city administrator, and I'm sure they can go over it with you. And we'll go ahead and bring it to a second reading after that.
Mayor, does this need to be approved before the return of the JLAC folks? Or is that a nice to have or a must have?
Well, we'll find that out because we're talking to JLAC. We just had a conversation with them. I think they might look at it, but I don't think they need approval.
No, I just mean, would it look good for our next audit to say, here's not only our new policy, but it's been approved and it's in place, as opposed to this is the final draft?
I can speak a little bit to that. This personnel policy was not one of the 9 findings that were listed under the JLAC audit. There were some issues somewhat tied to our personnel policy that are still in the personnel policy and have been minorly updated.
Is that fraud? And,
Well, that's something that is going to be the fraud policy that JLAC has asked us to do is going to be somewhat separate right now of this personnel policy. And then when we meet what JLAC's requirements were for a staff to go through fraud training, and then at that point, we can either add it into our personnel policy or into our financial policy or into our procurement policy, wherever they think it's deemed necessary.
All right, thank you.
Steve, will it anything? We go to the first reading and do some work between now and the second. Don't have anything? Second?
So we're good.
Okay. Next topic on is number 6 is parking on Highway 98 right away. Before we get into it, and I know that Mr. Mel has the appetite to get some direction from the city of which way to go. I'm going to give you my personal input on this is, I don't believe this is something we're going to solve today by no means. And it's going to turn into a long conversation the right way. I would suggest that we move this to a public meeting type of workshop. This is not the way to approach this right here because it's just going to be a lot of conversation that's not going to get us anywhere. I really don't think, but I'm open to your opinions.
Well,
Are you gonna make a decision today? To
no, we're not
right away?
making we're not making a decision, but we keep going through this year after year, and people say, I mean, you said, well, it's a big decision, but the north side of the 98 is clearly a problem, especially around the parks and things like that. So, I mean, DOT's kind of said, well, it's their jurisdiction, but we're going to kind of just turn our eyes and let you do what you want. So I guess it's going to be up to us, and we're going to have to. I mean, I would love a workshop, but it's not a very.
I don't think it's very much a question we need to take action. And, you know, those of us who've been here long enough know that pre-hurricane, there was no north side right-of-way parking. None. It was not tolerated, there were signs.
There's 600 signs in the back. You want to re-hang them?
No, I don't think we need.
Because they were all pulled up.
Well, yeah, a lot of things were pulled up, but I guess the point I'm making is someone who, we all understand that 8 months out of the year, it's not a problem. But those of us that live here also understand the traffic flow and how much different it is now than it was 3 years ago. You can attribute that to a lot of things. And when that traffic is parked on the north side, the ingress and egress into 98 and off of 98, because with cars parked there, people making turns onto city streets can't see pedestrians, can't see golf carts.
Yeah.
You know, it's something this council, we can have workshops and we probably need to have one. But if you talk to the people that live here, and you even talk to people that are reasonable that visit, they'll tell you, you know, I couldn't see how to get into the road. And, you know, the sheriff's department can provide data as to probably how many more accidents we've had over the last 3 years. So I don't think it's a question of should we do something, should we prohibit north side parking? I think it's an absolute yes.
Yeah, so Steve, I'm with you. I'm surprised, granted, I'm a new councilman, but I'm surprised this is an issue.
No, I'm the new councilman, so.
You're the new West, but still. I mean, this seems like a no-brainer. I mean, not to be argumentative, I'm not trying to be, but this is a year-round problem. Anybody who tries to make a left-hand turn at 4 o'clock every day with the shipyard, folks are leaving Port St. Joe and going home to Panama City. You can't make a left turn, and that's year-round. And then, yeah, it's only worse in the summer when there's tourists there.
It's not as easy a decision as you think though, because we have not given options to what to do. All we're saying is don't do it.
No, you're right.
What options do we have?
Yeah.
Have we went to the annex and asked them could we use that parking there? It's right away parking, it should be ours anyways. So that's a question, but there's no parking signs there. It says no parking.
Well, those are
Let me
obviously
just
their
finish real
signs.
quick, Steve. 14th Street, we have land there. Can we make a parking lot? I'm not sure. 37th Street, we own lots there. Can we take those and make them parking places? Canal Parkway, can we start to use some of that?
Parker Park.
Yeah, Parker Park. We need to come up with, I'm okay with saying no, but no is not gonna fix the problem, it's gonna create a war.
Well, Mayor, I agree 100%, and I'm not just saying arbitrarily that we say no parking. I think we have to say, as part of that no parking in the right of way, for 2 reasons. Safety being the biggest, and it destroys our right of way. I mean, you can just look at what's happened since they came in and tried to do some repairs, and it's gotten bad.
You're right, but let's have a solution to it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you just gave us really 3 or 4 really good ones that are like Parker Park. That area that's been created over there is a wonderful parking lot now. And there's no crosswalk there, but we could figure out a way to have a crosswalk and they can walk straight across to the beach.
Well, and this, the parking is predominantly beach access, but it's not just beach access. I mean, Jason made a good point. It has to do with the parks, right? We don't really allow parking there on the north side of the road or the right of way for Parker Park, except once or twice. So there is an exception. There's the taco truck on 27th Street that people will park there all the time when they're not supposed to. Again, it's whether they park there where they're not supposed to or not, that's still a north side of the road issue that's separate from the beach access. So we need to come up with policy.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm with you. I mean, I don't think we were trying to shut it down. It's just something that is becoming, I would prefer letting people just do what they're doing, but it's come to such a safety issue and stuff. And I've thought you're saying things, if we can create hubs, parking lot, you know, like let them park at Parker Park and, you know, go across.
Well, and the stuff that's not really gonna financially impact the city at all is we can't really do anything with the old public safety building on 14th Street until we get some sort of, I guess we can't. I mean, we could tear that thing down, you've got a nice parking lot, and if we put one at Parker Park, we've got 2 beach access parking lots. It doesn't, to your point, Eric, fix the problem at Sunset Park, and that's a huge problem. So it goes back to, you know, when you plan something, when you build a public use area without a plan to accommodate the visitors that are coming to that public use area, shame on us, you know, shame on us. But parking there in front of Barefoot Reynolds and along 98 and then up and down 19th and 20th Street, that's not an answer.
So if I hear everybody right here at the table, we can make this decision. table of 5, we can make it, okay? But there's so many things that are involved in it that affect current situations. And I can point out 10 or 15 of them, but I'll point out too, the hotel, right there on 15th. That's been his parking for years. Crazy Beach Pizza had the parking right in the front there. That's all right-of-way parking. We turn that faucet off, we're gonna create a monster.
Well,
And I'm okay with turning it off again, but we have to have a solution, and I don't think that we're gonna do that today.
No.
So I would suggest that if we wanna make it from the table of 5 and not have a workshop, that we go ahead and investigate these 5 areas. And Steve, thank you for bringing up Park, that's a great suggestion. Being the 5th place, there's 5 solutions right there. So, should we explore those and get answers?
Also too, do we still need to be concerned about the multi-path trailway that they're talking about? That's a 12-foot wide, probably asphalt, that's gonna be like adding another lane of highway, a little stretch of grass and then a 12-foot. That's gonna greatly affect the commercial people as well, like our new Bear place. I mean, he's got all the things lined up, so everybody's gonna be parking on the right of way. How much of that 12-foot is gonna take away from his parking? So that's a big concern too, and that is their right of way. So,
I agree.
one more thing to think about.
No, I don't think, and just last comment, I mean, once again, I'm hearing 2 different things. I don't think we're against having we should have a workshop on that. But I think what I'm hearing too is the consensus that we have to do something. I mean, certain people are granted rights to park in front of their place. We get that. This is a lot of these, they come weekend visitor, once again, I think the Sunset Park is probably people want to go to the beach. They just park across the street on the road. I mean, there's these high areas of concern.
well, and truthfully, the people come to Sunset Park not because of that structure that we put there, because that's a beach access point.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can educate our visitors as to, we're providing, and I don't think you gotta have 5. I think 2, I think the right of way there, to the left of the old governor, that's right of way. The old governor can't technically restrict parking there, I don't think. Maybe we go to them and say, help us out here. There's a beach access point right here. And that's one solution. If Parker Park or 14th Street is another one, all it takes is a sign notifying the public, beach parking. They've got them in other beach towns. It's not just, pull over here, pull over there. And it never was pre-Michael. The businesses always, it was understood, they had some parking that half of their parking space is on the right of way or 90% of it's on the right of way. We're talking about visitors that pull over with a car or a Suburban with a boat behind it. We gotta stop that.
Right behind you.
Let me ask, Lisa, do you have a comment, real quick?
Yes. I very strong, Lisa Logan. I very strongly urge somebody in the city, perhaps this is a task for Julie to get involved in. Go to the Department of Transportation and go back in their archives and find the original agreement from DOT and the City of Mexico Beach dealing with right-of-way access and permission that was put in place back in the 1950s, maybe even the 1940s. They will have a document on it, and it will explain what was generally called the gentleman's agreement with DOT. Well, DOT does not do gentleman's agreements. It is a written document. You need to find that. I have personally never seen it, but I've never gone and looked for it. You need to find out exactly what permission the city was given to allow parking on both sides, but particularly the north, because when When the city was founded, there was an agreement between DOT and the city to allow all of those businesses on the north to be able to use the DOT right-of-way for the business parking lots. You need to
You're saying
find.
there was an agreement between those businesses and DOT? How do
There-
you know that?
Because of information from Al Cathy, who was there when it was
But you haven't
done.
seen any.
I have not ever looked into it.
Okay.
But I also have talked to someone who is an employee high up in DOT who told me that there has to be an agreement. It was not ever a verbal agreement because that's not how DOT operates. So you need to find that because DOT had given permission in some form for those parking lots to be used.
They've authorized it in writing.
Yes,
We'll
so
at it.
look for it.
Does our city attorney have anything to add?
All right, did you have something, Carrie, real quick?
Yes, sir.
Carrie Rusco, 102 North 26th Street, between Parker and 27th, since we're talking about that. We need a strategic plan. Everything, Mayor, that you're saying with regard to is something's going to have secondary and tertiary effects. If we have a city plan to work towards, it will take into consideration the stormwater work that's already being done, and we can work on branch planning and contingencies that get affected after that. I don't know if this is a possibility yet, but you guys mentioned you hired the HR company and how wonderful of a job they've done because that's their specialty. I would recommend, if it's a possibility, that we hire, instead of putting it on P&Z, which is already, we talked about her in the last meeting, possibly P&Z taking on the strategic plan. Anybody that's done any difficult planning knows that it's not a part-time job. It's not something you can just get together every once in a while. It needs to be a dedicated team, and if we have the funds to do it, I recommend we hire not permanent, just a consulting firm to help us put together and have the workshops and deal with all the possible effects to get a city plan so we don't have, should we or should we not allow parking on the right side of the north side of 98. It's already talked about, the consequences have been discussed every step of the way. And it gives everybody in the town a vision of what we're working toward, because what's the plan for, I know what the plan is for Parker Park, sort of, but, well, if we change the parking now, that might change that. So I'm rambling at this point, but we desperately need a city plan, and I do recommend we hire a company that's their specialty and pay for it, because it will pay for itself in leaps and bounds financially, but also with our time. Thank you.
Did you have something?
Gardner, Mexico Beach. You are talking about addressing beach access parking. What are you gonna do about the construction workers? Go down 20th Street or 19th Street right now. I guarantee you it will take you several minutes to get out because you can't see around the cars. And I have a big vehicle and I have to get to the very end of the street and the back end of my car in the sidewalk because you cannot see to get around. So while your options are great for people coming to the beach, what are you going to do to address that issue? And I completely agree with the new council member elect, however you want to word it. We desperately need a full-time city planner that is here on a regular basis, daily basis, that can answer my questions, your questions, whoever's questions. I think that guy right there's firm actually does some city planning, and there are some other people. I think that needs to be a step that we go in to put ourselves in a better situation because we keep chasing the ball. We make a plan, and very much like she said, if you use Parker Park as beach access parking, then what are you gonna do on Farmers Market Day? What are you gonna do if we wanna have an event there? Then you don't have enough parking to have an event there because you've got beach access parking there. So I think we're gonna create some problems trying to make a solution, so.
Thank you.
Council, Hunter Bailey, North Florida Professional Services. Weewall resident, so I use the beaches, right? So a few points to everything that we're talking about here today. First off, yeah, your locals, even your tourists. I don't consider myself a tourist, but I come down as a tourist, right, to use the beach. We know not to park on the north side. I mean, don't park in the ditch, don't park on the sidewalk. Jacob and I were just talking about that. There's plenty of parking on the south side. Summertime, it becomes an issue. So we deal with this in a lot of our coastal communities that we have under contract that we deal with. Like Miss Lisa was saying, there's a verbal agreement that does follow written up with DOT. I haven't seen it, I'm not saying it's there, right? But there's gotta be something somewhere that states that these businesses were allowed to have right-of-way parking. Other areas were excluded from that 9 times out of 10. So some of our other communities we see where they allow that in front of, you know, the hotel, beach pizza, the ice cream shop, the taco truck, whatever that is, along general housing area. There's a few different options. Signage isn't pretty, we get it, right? But put a sign at both ends of the street kind of deal where your intersections are. In between, we've seen where they've put 6x6 posts with the pretty ropes along the roads. Whatever you can do that DOT allows you to do, just to tell people not to park in that area, that's an idea. Parking, of course, so that's kind of what I was gonna start off to talk about when I raised my hand, sorry about that. FERDAP, all day, will fund this type of project for grants. So we don't tie it as a parking lot project, it's a beach and recreation project. And so 14th Street, Parker Park, wherever we want to do this at, we'll pay for parking lot improvements, ADA sidewalk leading towards a crossover that leads towards a, you know, walkover for the Dunes project. So we could tie a lot of that into a grant proposal if you guys would like to explore those options. That's kind of what I wanted to touch on mainly. Third, fourth, whatever point I'm on, yes, we do city planning. We can be here to help with a lot of that. So with our continuing services contract, you know, if Mel wants to work with the city attorney and look and see kind of deal, you may not have to go out for contract. We may just be able to help you with that if it's generalized enough. That's something for you guys to discuss. I think that was it. Yeah, any questions?
No, it's good, man.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
I have just a few comments, not to get off too much in the weeds. Our LDR comp plan, everything does have language about connecting to the highway. We do have some old businesses here in town that have been here, I call them grandfathered in. It's not effective, but if you were to bring a new business to here and it was on the highway, there are specifics of where that has to be, what type of connection, and even if you're building a home on 98, I think the home, you can get an exempt, but if it gets to a certain thing, we have things in the LDR, if you divide lot, if you're building townhomes, now that it has to be off of the access street. So just to let everybody know, there's things that are already in our plans for new stuff, so we're only gonna be dealing with if it's a business that's affected. Obviously there's probably some paperwork that allows them. And I know that's getting off of the right-of-way parking, but I just wanted to bring it up that we do have things built in. I mean, I've had to deal with it years ago, connecting to the highway. I mean, you have to send it to DOT, you have to get a permit, and you have to do all that, so.
Well, and this is kudos, Terry. You said exactly what I wanted to say about the planning, and you need professionals doing specialty work. Just like Greg is the building guy and Sandy's the fire chief. These guys are professionals at planning and grant writing and those types of things. As a council, we're not experts in that area. We recognize a problem and we banner about a solution. But more often than not, that solution, without professional eyes on it, ends up being an ace bandage or a Band-Aid. And Lisa said it, going back to 1950, 1960, whenever these supposed agreements were made, my gosh, you know what the traffic was like in 1950 or 1960? Parking was not an issue. Now parking is an issue. Traffic is an issue. and this is not related to the parking issue, but it sort of is. That's why as a council, I think it's so dang important that we develop a vision, develop a master plan, start working with our elected officials to get things like the Back Beach Road in place, work with our neighbors in Gulf County, because that is somewhere in the DOT ether out there. But we need to do what we can as a community to bring it out of the ether and down into what we call the oxygen of where we all live. And let's move that plan higher up their priority list via talking to whoever we have to, all the way to the governor if we have to exert pressure on those people. So that's all I've got to say. I mean, I don't think, Mayor, to your point, respectfully, I don't think any of us think that we solve it today. But I think we recognize the problem is not getting better, and we can talk about it for the next 4 hours. It's not going to get better. And there is no one solution, I don't think. I think it's a big solution that ties the whole master plan of the city together.
Well, I think we can come up with a solution. I didn't want to send that message. What I wanted to send a message is what would create making a simple decision of just shut it down and say no parking on the north side.
Right.
We create a monster.
Right.
That was my point. I believe that we need to explore the possibility of some type of managing, somebody to help us manage that. I believe we need to look at this letter may be available. If that's available, that answers a lot of questions. Because we can say, okay, don't worry, hotel, don't worry, pizza place, don't worry, restaurant over here, or whatever, you can get, maintain your parking there. We're just closing it down across from Parker Park, we're closing it across from these houses, and we can do that, but we don't have that letter, so we need to get that. We need to check availability on the four or five places we're talking about for parking, and then see if that person that's gonna help us can agree and say, yeah, that's the right way to manage it. My thing was, I didn't want people jumping out and making decisions today to throw up signs.
Well, I agree, and restricting parking in certain areas, I think, without providing a solution to where that traffic then goes, is no solution. You know, if we look at where our real problem areas are, and we stick up a few signs, well, that's great. Okay, now where are those people gonna go park? Are they gonna come, 2 blocks off and park in front of somebody's house or in front of a vacant lot? Who knows? And Julie made a really good point. It's not just tourist traffic. It's not just beach traffic. This city's gonna continue to have construction traffic. And when those guys pull in a trailer and a F-350 flatbed with a machine, and you can't see. I mean, I drive a big truck, she drives a, you pull out, you're taking your life into your hands. And it's not just the motorists. Those people are trying to cross the sidewalks, and you've got vehicles. And I'm coming back from Port St. Joe to make a right turn into 19th Street, and I can't see if someone's walking their dog or getting out of a car or anything. So it's dangerous. So.
Okay, so, and just in a consensus, we have 5 areas we can look at. We have 4 suggestions of other things we can look at. We can look at the letter, which we can do over the next couple weeks. We can check availability of those 5 areas. We could also talk about converting those, cost of converting parking lots, and get some help from a planner and or wherever direction we're going to go. Is that the direction we're giving the city administrator to go forward with?
I still have concerns about what if the multi-path comes into play. That's 12 feet of right-of-way. So does everything that we're planning become null and void because they have the right to put that 12-foot wide pathway?
I don't think that affects bringing additional parking. I don't think that
But
affects
okay,
that.
like the commercial folks that are parking like this now, are they gonna still have room to allow their people to park?
Whatever
Plus-
agreement they have with DOT may be changed based on DOT. We have nothing to do with that. I mean, that's.
I'm just thinking that's a factor that if that's a possibility one day, and it might be many years from now, that's something to think about.
Yeah, we may find this letter and find out that it says that the hotel and, where Crazy Beach Pizza used to, they can get and park there. So we let them park there.
Yeah, and for now, that works out, but. the what
Right,
if?
10, 15 years down the road, when they do this path thing, there's a possibility that DOT is gonna have to talk to those two places again.
So, Mr. Sloan, can you help us? First of all, do you know about this decades-old agreement that we're talking?
I do not, I was unaware of that. It sounds like it's with the city and perhaps not individual businesses. So if it's with the city, that may be an easier document to obtain. But at the end of the day, it's their right of way. And so really, to the extent that you're planning to do things in their right of way, they're gonna have to agree with what you're doing.
We really are not planning to do anything other than stop parking there. Everything else would be bringing on additional parking. Isn't that true? That's all we're saying.
Well, but to the extent that you're allowing places to park in the right of way.
We're not gonna do that until we.
That may or
until
may
we look at
not
the
be in this
letter.
agreement, then you need to know what that agreement is.
And we hear constantly that FDOT owns the right of way, and there's nothing we can do about it. We're just a city, we're not a state, they own it. But it would be nice to know what legal backing they have, what the actual agreement says. What can we and can we not do? Because I think we all know this multi-use path is coming. It's not a question of if, it's just when. And so we just need to use it as a constraint to our plan.
Well,
And honestly, I don't think as a city, we're planning to do anything with the right of way. And whatever this agreement says is totally out of our control, because the DOT can tell Jason, who owns that business, guess what? That, we gave you that permission, but now we're not giving you that
We're
permission.
taking it away. Yeah.
And that's nothing to do with this city, you know. So I think we've got a plan here.
I just want to confirm to the people that listen, because this is getting off into these we're not planning on affecting businesses at all.
No.
We don't want to.
Anything that we've talked, I don't want this to go out there like, well, they're gonna tell us we can't park here anymore. I mean, we know what businesses have been here for all these years, and we know what they've been allowed to do, and that's a given. Now, whatever FDOT does in the future with their right of way is their business, but I just want people to know we're not planning on coming here and shutting down the whole side of the highway
So I
for
appreciate
people that have already been using it.
Right.
So I appreciate that, Jason. And the only thing I would add to it is, in my almost a year on the council, something I've discovered is that a lot of times residents and businesses in this town are affected by something that is not the city's fault. But guess who gets blamed? The city. So I think it behooves us to continue to speak about this in public and let the public know this is what we have planned, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do. And why can't we do it? In the case of this multi-use path or the north side of 98 parking, it's because of the state of Florida. And we have to know what we can and can't do. We may be able to ask for a permission to make changes, or we may just have to say, look, this is something that is reality. The state of Florida will not budge on this, so we have to plan around it.
Well, and to Ms. Hamilton's point, none of us have a clue when that 12-foot wide path is coming. It will come. It's probably gonna take our city sidewalks out in a lot of areas. And as residents, we'll be using the path as a sidewalk.
All right.
Yeah.
So, we're basically ready to move on. I mean, we're gonna do some investigating over these 4 or 5 things we have to do. Turning up this letter is gonna be a big deal, give us some direction. I think we plan for March 3rd, 9th, that's our first meeting, put it back on the agenda and see what we've accomplished. And next couple of weeks, is that good?
Well, and obviously, one of the items you've got listed, Mayor, is communicating with Hunter and his group about some long-term planning in that direction.
I guess my question there is, if an existing agreement where we can start that conversation with North Florida Professional Services on them offering long-term city planning services, great, but is this something that we have to actually budget for in the next budget season to have a city planner? That's just a
Well,
question.
And that would be a yes.
And frankly, I think it behooves the city to have a contractor versus an employee.
Absolutely.
It's just a big difference. Big difference.
Okay. We ready to move on from this?
Yes.
Okay. We'll bring it back up on the agenda for March the 9th. All right, Mr. Mike, CD renewal.
Morning, council. It's that time of the year again where we're, actually this time we have both of our 6-month CDs and our 2 12-month CDs that are up for renewal. The renewal date is March the 7th. I provided rates. We currently, all 4 CDs are held at Centennial Bank. I've provided the rates. Mayor, you came in and asked me if those rates should have been reversed, and no, I did get confirmation those are the rates for the terms.
Okay.
Full disclosure, I did not do any due diligence, basically because the last 3 times that this has come up, for us to get above normal rates, they are wanting us to move all of our monies to their banks. So, like I said, full disclosure, I did not call them because I'll probably get the same answers. I've done this 3 times already. Right now, we have, like I said, we have both the 2 6 months and the 2 12 months. You see the rates there, and my recommendation is that we just we approve the renewal of the 4 CDs at Centennial Bank.
I have a question, Mike. So is the current rate 3.9? So we're going down?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All the rates have gone down the last 2 times that we've redone.
So, you said if we move from one bank to another, they would want us to move all the money. What about a credit union? If we try to just move the CDs?
I called Tyndall, and Tyndall did not offer just a CD for us. They wanted everything over.
Yeah. Okay.
I even said, what if I had $10 million to give you all? I said, well, that means you got a lot of money in your other accounts, but on all your business.
Hey, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, we didn't even have CDs. They were sitting in the bank making less than 1%. So we've had the opportunity to make upward to 5% over the last 4 years.
And Centennial has been good to us, but giving us a little bit higher rate than just a normal rate.
So I'm just doing a quick search at bankrate.com. These big, huge multinational banks where I just typed in a $2 million CD. They're maxed out at 4%, but these are Goldman Sachs and this is Capital One, and I think we all recognize we want to keep our money local. So I think 3.51% is reasonably competitive for a local community bank.
Yeah, I think it's fine too, and I think the council would agree, just roll it over. We all good with that?
And Jason, I did get one of your questions answered and confirmed that the interest that we earn on these CDs are rolled back into the CD.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't want to stray too far off. If we're talking about CDs, we'll obviously move forward. Maybe I should bring this to the council comment, but it's been on my mind. We run a lot of pooled cash, and I'd like for the council at some time, we'll talk about it later. Maybe we should move more money into some more CDs. I mean, even if they're 6 months, we're running so much cash in the bank. I don't see, I know it's not to get ourselves in a bind, but we just got so much cash in the bank.
Yeah, you know, you make a good point, because if you look at that one area, you're looking somewhere between 11 and $10 million, and it's never went below 9, and it's never went, if it's gonna go anywhere, it's gonna go over 11 at some point, but.
I mean, and I'm talking about just another million, just because, you know.
Make some money off of it.
You know, if the million sits in there for a year, it's 30 grand, you know, it's 35, you know, it's just. And you can always get it with a penalty, but I don't wanna get too, we're here at this, we
Well,
gotta
and
approve
so
this.
my only question along this line is, we're asked to vote today on 2 6-month CDs that are maturing and 2 12-month CDs that are maturing.
Correct.
How many other CDs do we have that are maturing at other parts throughout the year?
These are the only four that
These
we
are the
have.
4. So, what I propose, and so I don't wanna hold up today's vote to roll these over, but what I propose, and this is maybe something we talk about in the budget season, August and September, is we have staggering rolling 6-month CDs throughout the year, because what happens if we need, if we have an event and we need cash, then we would have a CD coming due in the next 3 months that we could use that money for without withdrawal.
I think that was the reason, if the previous, I wasn't on the council, but sitting through, and decision was made, it was decided to alter them between 6 and 12, so that 6 would come if you needed it.
That's what we
Correct, that's what the
The
council.
other thing is they were all open at the same time, so you're always
It's a
gonna have that
signature.
one coincidence where they're all
I
coming.
think put some
in.
more money aside. I'm saying more money.
Well, a little bit of a game, we played a little bit of a game.
Well, but what we see from the rates here is that we get a better rate on 6-month CD than a 12-month CD, and sometimes that's the nature of banking. So why don't we switch them all to staggering throughout the year 6-month CDs?
Well, not to get, they're betting that the rate's gonna go down again. That's why they're giving you that little bump on the 6, because and 12 is probably, they're betting on that quarter
Percent cutting.
cut again, so, I mean,
Just a thought.
Well, and to your point, Jason, it's not a discussion to resolve today, but all that pool cash, maybe to do what Eric wants to do, we pull $1 million and start another CD.
Yeah, I mean, what's the flow and the expenditures, again, I tell you, we float somewhere, just in that area, is between 9 and 11. So, we have a lot of room, we'd take $5 million, probably do something with it. So,
Something to talk about.
yeah. Okay.
so,
Anything else, Mark?
Do we need a motion?
whatever.
Just,
It's up to you.
Yeah. This is just a rollover, it doesn't,
All right, so we're okay to do
I
that.
would say, Mayor, that if you're gonna direct him to do something, then I would have him
Make a
direct
motion.
as a vote.
Let's make a motion to, move forward with that, to roll it over.
I'll make a motion that we renew the 4 existing city certificates of deposit.
I'll second it.
Got a motion, second, take the roll, please.
Mr. Fasagi?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamilton?
Yes,
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mayor Wolf?
Yes.
All right, next thing, the monthly financial report. This is for the month of January. And as you can, and what I normally do when I compile these things is I look at my percentages, see if anything's kind of higher than probably the 30 to 35% where we should be at this point in time. I do have one thing to say on our enterprise funds for the sewer department, the water department, sanitation. All of our revenues are 1 month in arrears. In other words, our October water billings don't really happen until November, or November water billings don't really happen until December. So you're really looking at 3 months of revenue in those enterprise funds, and as you can see, they're close to being on target. And again, when you go up to the upper part, you see that development services, that's probably something that we're gonna have to talk about in the future for our budget items. We just, that's the TPC and all those types of folks that those monies go into that account. So we only budgeted $125,000 this year. Right now we're at 75% of that being spent already. So that will be something that we'll have to look into the future. The general government, again, you see that's real high, but that includes all of our tornado expense. We have gotten some reimbursements back from the insurance company, but from a financial standpoint, what we'll do is those revenues will come back in, not revenues, but the insurance reimbursements will come back in as an income, And we're gonna keep these expenses as just regular line item expenses, and then when we do our budget amendment for the tornado stuff, then that'll clear up that account and bring it back down to normal percentages of usage regarding the budget.
Any questions on that?
So I do have a couple. Looking at the revenues first, I'm looking at the revenues that are much higher than the 30 to 35% expected at this time of year. So ad valorem taxes, I think I get, we just get that once, right?
No, we get it throughout the year, but since the city has been on time on their past fiscal audit, we got the money a lot sooner.
Oh, okay. So is this trend going to continue? We're at 72% received, and this report in front of us, it says January, but this is 3 months worth of the fiscal year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Not counting the ones that are delayed by a month, right?
Correct.
All right, so if we're expecting 30 to 35%, and we see numbers like we've got 72% of our ad valorem taxes, is that going to keep going? Oh,
Well, we'll still get some more tax money because there are folks that are on an installment plan and paying their city taxes. So we do get on a monthly basis dollars that come in from the installment portion of it as well. And then, however, folks pay in their taxes when it gets due into Bay County and they see that they have some more property tax that's due to us, and that's when it'll get allocated back out to us. But that budget amount was what we anticipated at 95%. We could get 98%. So I guess, I think if I hear your question, will we still get more money beyond the 28% that's left? We would like to, but we budgeted at 95, but again, we could get 97 or 98% of those taxes.
So let me ask the question a different way. Do you, as a finance person, do you expect this much higher than expected revenues coming in to continue for the rest of the year in a linear fashion, or is it just going to be up 1 month, down another month, but still a general upward trend?
I think, like,
Mike,
I don't think that it's going to continue going up and up and up. I think it's going to end up leveling out. You have to, at the beginning of the first of the year, you're going to have, a lot of buckets that were dumped to us. That's why that figure looks so high. But then for the rest of the year, it probably will level out and we'll get close to those budgeted figures.
I think Mike made a good point early on that you're probably looking at what's more realistic right now in this year than what was from the past. Because we were held from our audits and everything else, and we weren't being paid on time by the state.
So this year's numbers are more ground truth than we've had in the past.
Because we're more caught up than we've ever been, yeah.
But, and I just clarify that, I think that's on the flow side. We're still gonna wind up, like Mike was saying, with the 4, 5, 60 at the 95%. The only chance that we have of that particular item is the 1 or 2 points that we might get. But, yeah, so Eric, I guess you got that. But they've just let us have more of it up front into the bank, so to speak, to make it plain and simple. But we're not gonna wind up with $7 or $8 million.
No. You could actually go over. I mean, last year I think we went over 103% or something like that.
Yeah, it was.
103. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
And we could, like I said, it all depends on what's paid into the system.
Yeah.
And so we could, that's why I guess the city has taken an approach in past years to conservatively budget. We're only going to receive 95% of those funds. We could receive 96, 97, 98%. We don't know.
Okay. Let's go in the other direction. We've got 3 line items that are extremely low. 0.19% received, 0.87% received, 7% received.
Well, those not all those the big one of the other governmental revenue. You got to remember the big 80% of that number is for the $4-point-something million for the jetty project. So that dollar is those monies were included in that budget fund. So that could be, yeah, we get it, or,
I got you. So there's a wide error bar of that estimate of going into the fiscal year. I think that's all.
Anybody else, anything?
Mike, you said, once again, over here, like you're working on what I talked about before, starting to show us what money is allotted out of these funds.
this is something that I've prepared. And the funds that everybody's interested is what makes up the pool cash fund. That's where all the,
Well, just not even the pooled cash, but not while you're passing these out, but stuff like the water impact fees, the sewer impact fees, I know we allotted a majority of that money. If not, that may be in
So-
there, but we have those, and that's not in the pool, that's just out there by itself, but those are the items that,
right, so in that cheat sheet that I told you all I was making, I've got it completed basically through December through council's fundings. I passed out this sheet to where I can add on, I was gonna add on, there will be an added column that's called allocated. So we'll know what we have at the balance, we'll know what the council has allocated from these funds. So we'll have a running balance in those funds. And my question is, and again, I posed it last time, was, does this need to be on a monthly basis, or does this need, since it's a lot of detail, does it just need to go on a quarter basis?
I think what we talked about is looking at it monthly as a whole, as a lump sum.
So the summary is a month.
Breakdown.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
yeah, just so we're getting the, between that and then these other funds, like I said again, when you, like, where did you, on the revenue side, let's just take for instance, that 200,000 that came in on the sales tax, or the gas tax, I think it was more gas tax. Where did that money, where did it flow into the bank at? Did that just go into, I felt like it should have went under one of the.
No, I believe that goes, I'm almost positive that that goes into the infrastructure fund.
And that is,
That's on the page in your hand,
So it's part of the pool cash.
part of pool cash.
Okay.
Like I said, there's
okay.
23 accounts that make up, 23 GL accounts that make up that pooled cash account.
So that was that was a tax, that was a tax that we received normal every year, that was a bonus, but
Correct.
normally every year, and what fund does that tax normally
Usually
go into?
the sales tax or the gas tax funds go into the infrastructure fund or the paving and maintenance fund.
Oh, you show the deposits there, it doesn't show 200,000.
Well, that 200,000 happened in October.
Oh, so,
So it's part of the beginning.
But that's where the cheat sheet says.
Right, so that's
But
on a
also-
quarter basis, I'll have that
But
extra
it-
column that'll show what everything was
But
allocated.
you said it went in October, and I don't know.
So that's part of the beginning balance of that 1.1.
so this is where you would see it in the future, where we say your beginning, deposit, withdrawal, and ending.
Right, and then there's gonna be, I'll have the, for the council, what the council has actually allocated throughout a meeting. So we'll know that for Project X, council said, yeah, we're gonna use the Park and Rec Fund, 138,000. I'll denote that on the cheat sheet, said, we're already gonna take $138,000 less than what that balance is. So the council going forward will know where the money's come from and how much they've allocated and the remaining balance.
Okay.
Great.
Any other questions for Mike? How far are you from that project list?
I got through December, so I'm gonna do the January minutes and then it should be done.
Cool.
And then one last thing, we kind of breached on it before. We did have a meeting with JLAC. They sent us a list of about 15 requirements. We've satisfied 12 of them. Of the 3 remaining, 2 of them are fraud. We are in the middle of looking at different online services for training to meet JLAC's requirements. The third one is they actually asked for a process for paying our vendors. Although in our procurement manual, it kind of skirts around the process of how to get something paid. Caitlin and I are working on an actual written up process to how to pay vendors. So as far as JLAC is concerned, we've met their request. They know of our 3 that are waiting, and I will be uploading those to them as soon as we get those completed. And when we spoke with JLAC, they're looking at 2. They said more than likely 3 months they will be back here for an on-site visit.
And when you do that sheet, I know it's projects that have been, but you're gonna go back to the original budget and put in what we've allotted out of these
Yeah, that's
accounts,
what I've
even
been-
if in the pooled cash accounts.
Correct.
I mean, it's almost like you gotta list the
Well, of
the balances of the other accounts, and then you've gotta go in here to these.
Well, those
pooled
other
cash
accounts are separate bank accounts, so to get a grand total of the financial picture, I had to include those.
Yeah, no, and I wanna see what money's spent, cause I know we've allotted a good bit of that money for projects, and then you go to the pooled cash, and I know we've allotted a lot of these items, you know, like the canal park fund and the boat launch, you know, we've already set that aside for the boat ramp expansion. Just
I'll
just
go
so me
through-
and the future council, you know, anybody kinda keeps up, you're doing such a good job, really you are. And we're getting a handle on this, and I want it to keep going.
Okay, I do too.
And so, sorry, we're jumping all around the place. Sorry, I want to go back to your last comment about the JLAC audit. I pulled up the JLAC report here. There were 9 findings in the JLAC, and you just said, you just gave us a quick update on what I think is finding number 9. The city has not established policies and procedures for communicating, investigating, and reporting known or suspected fraud. So that's the one you were just.
Yes, sir. And the reason I said 15, they actually sent us a request list of 15 items. So 2 of those 15 related to that number 9 fraud. So we are investigating avenues in how to get training from a management level and then pass down to a non-management level to meet their requirements.
Very good, thank you.
And all 9, remember, if you go back, I mean, it's been a while. I mean, I went to Tallahassee in front of that group, and I'll tell you, it was a joy, right? You were there.
Yeah, it was not fun.
But this is just a follow-up type of thing. We've done the right thing in our replying on the 9 items. Will we add more to them? Possibility. But they're gonna come down and we're gonna relook at everything again. And that's just a follow-up to the original. So, it should go fast.
Like you said, you know, we have 9, there's some places that had 99.
Right, 99, yeah, so we thought we were bad.
And also, just to be clear, those 9 findings were not major findings.
No.
They were minor.
Yes.
And some of them were repeat. I guess that's more of a hinder than anything is how many times they're gonna be on there, you know?
And as I recall, that was your first month on the job, wasn't
Yes,
it?
it was.
Been good fun. Thank you, Mike.
Uh-huh.
All right, we're about almost 2 hours into this here. Planning and zoning is the next subject. There's planning and zoning has 3 openings. 1 permanent and 2 alternate, is that correct?
That's correct.
We have the applications in front of us. First one on the list is Kurt. Let's go ahead and take them one by one. Want me to start?
It's up to you, you can start, I can start.
Okay. Yeah, obviously we reviewed the, you know, I feel bad about it in that he would like to be on the P&Z. I don't like the fact that half of the time has to be on Zoom. And, we do not want a Zoom planning and zoning group, I don't think. But I do appreciate him applying and everything else. I just don't think it's a good place to go. We need the citizens here to do the job.
What about if he was like more or less a permanent alternate? That way we could use his expertise and his knowledge, and he would just know that he wouldn't have voting power, but yet he has the opportunity to give his input, and he has stepped up to the plate and offered to do this position.
That's an option. My thing is I don't wanna task our group to have to Zoom and get online every time to do this.
Well, it wouldn't be every time, because he's here about 6 months out of the year.
6 months out of the year.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be that often.
Right.
So I feel for Mr. Warfel. I'm a full-time Zoomer outside of this meeting. I spend my life on Zoom calls all day. We did have the workshop last month. We had Dina and the other gentleman.
We did it on Zoom.
They remoted in, so I thought that went pretty well. I'm absolutely willing to consider adding Zoom as a capability to the P&Z.
There's a difference though, Mayor, in the people who are on the board versus others zooming in. And so from the standpoint of counting you, if you're here as a member of this body or presumably as a P&Z, you have to be physically present unless there is some extraordinary circumstance that would prevent you from being here, such as there have been some opinions issued of people that were sick and bedridden and could not get to the meeting, but none of the ordinary meetings. Now during the emergency period after Hurricane Michael, that was different, but now that we're back in an ordinary time, I think you would have to be physically present unless you had an extraordinary circumstance in order to be counted as a voting member.
Does that apply for a alternate also, or not?
Well, the alternate typically would not have a vote unless there weren't enough members, regular members. So, I mean, as long as there were 5 regular members, the alternate would not have a vote anyway. So,
but there have been plenty of times when an alternate was at the meeting and a couple of principals were gone, and the alternate got promoted for that meeting.
had to vote. So, if that were the case, then theoretically they wouldn't be here, wouldn't be present, and they couldn't vote.
That's problematic in my view. I mean, at face value, you say, well, it's just an alternate, but to your point, and Eric and I were both P&Zers, yeah, I was an alternate to begin with, and more than once, we didn't have a quorum, and I had to sit in, and, you know, I just think it's problematic. I know the technology is great, but
once again, I'll chime in that the Zoom thing kind of, I think it needs to be here. The attorney's given us some opinion on that. The other thing I want to bring up, and this is not directed 100% at Mr. Warfel, but he did write it in his thing. This, finally, I'm neither a realtor nor a developer, contractor, but a Mexico Beach resident, so I have a non-conflicting business motivation. Just bringing that up, I think some of these attributes do help on these boards. I think it's been proven that you can come in here and have a biased opinion and still do your job. But I'm just bringing that up because it's not just here, I've heard it before. And I'm just stating for the record that just because you're one of these things doesn't mean you're coming in here with your personal agenda.
Any other input? I want to make a motion to approve or deny.
So, Jason, since you're saying, not Jason, but Eric, since you're saying in your business you often do Zoom meetings, I mean, Tim, you're saying because he wouldn't be truly physically present?
He could be counted for a quorum, that's correct.
Okay, but,
Or
Okay.
theoretically vote.
Okay.
so, if we tried to use him as a permanent alternate, and it came to that they didn't have enough people to vote, couldn't they just table it to the next meeting? The
Well,
issue,
if they don't have a quorum of the 5,
right,
and if you put in, let's say, as number 7, and number 6 wasn't here, then he would have to step up to be the quorum, and if he wasn't here, he couldn't do that.
So long as they have a quorum, they could vote, but when they don't, and he was away, he would not be included in that quorum.
He wouldn't be able to.
So,
But what, I'm sorry, I should know this, but I don't. Don't you, I mean, what is a quorum? Because the P and Z's voted,
3.
yeah, 4-0, 3-1, you know, before, because all 5 weren't there, so they still need 3, and 3's it? Okay, well. Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to yes for this gentleman, and I can't do it.
and the issue couldn't be tabled, I mean, that would be a rare occurrence to begin with.
Well, if he doesn't count as a member of the quorum, then he wouldn't also count as a vote, and the remaining, if they don't have a quorum, they're not even having a meeting. So that, the whole meeting would have to be continued.
If you only have 2, well, the meeting's off anyway. If you have 3 board members present, you're gonna go ahead and have the meeting, and it wouldn't be important to have an alternate present.
But it also wouldn't be, prohibited to have only a quorum of 3, and then have a guy zooming in or not. They could just listen in, but.
So if you had 3 members sitting here, of the regular members, and you have a quorum, but you would typically step up, again, this is a difference of opinion on why you even have alternates, but you would step up the number 6 into the number 4 seat, number 7 would go into 5. And what I'm saying is, you could have that quorum from the 3 that's here, 6 could vote, probably 7 could not,
Because they're remote.
because they're not physically here.
yeah, I think you know, in my opinion, I feel that that's the thing that's holding us up. I mean, I appreciate him with Eric, I agree with Eric, you know, he's qualified, he can do the job, but that adds another layer that I don't think we need to deal with.
So I make a motion reluctantly that we deny approval to Mr. Workman.
A second.
Got a motion and a second, take a look, please.
Mr. Fasagi?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Work? Mayor Work?
Okay, second one on there, Jeff Bacon. I reviewed it, I think he qualifies. I'd be okay with moving him forward.
So just to be clear, Mayor, you need to indicate what seat he would be filling.
So the first seat, which would be the permanent.
Permanent, C4, C5 or C4?
We got 4.
Should be 5.
We have 4, okay, so C5.
Okay, so, if we chose Mr. Bacon as the permanent, then we still do have one more applicant. So that would make him
Correct.
fall into the alternate?
Correct.
Okay, so what about, wasn't there some point in time that we kind of made the day when the person applied a priority? And of course, Mr. Bush applied back in January, and then Mr. Bacon applied in February the 9th.
Well, and Mr. Bush made it clear at a meeting last month that he originally submitted in December, and he's got both dates on here, so which one's real? Is it?
Okay, but it's still before Mr. Bacon.
I agree.
Well, yeah, it's obviously it's stamped received
Right,
December
okay,
5th.
December 5th, I thought.
There's a,
Yeah.
can I speak on?
Mm-hmm.
As far as Mr. Bacon, I mean, the application was a little light.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he did build his own house. You know, I don't think he's unqualified, but he did, he's done that, but as far as, I just didn't see a lot of other, you know, planning and zoning is a lot more issues at hand, as we all know. So that was one thing there that I'll mention on that. I'm not against Mr. Bacon. The other thing that was brought up, Ms. Hamilton, you brought it up as far as the first, that was changed at this table a few months ago. We had a decision here for the P and Z to move applicants.
I was just thinking it's been a past practice.
We did that,
First in,
but there
first
was a
out.
time that there was that one, I forget who was appointed, but we did not appoint the next person in line. So that being said, that changed the rules. Or whatever, it wasn't a rule, it was a system, practice that we used. So, I don't.
But going back to Mr. Bush, he does have past experience of being on the planning and zoning. He has experience as a city master. He's got a very extensive military background, and he's been a very long-time resident of this city. So he has seen the ups and downs of our city, and I'm sure he's observed the planning and zoning meetings many times when he was on it. I think overall he has a lot more experience than Mr. Bacon to make him qualify for the permanent position.
Okay, here's the deal, we got two here, not to have to argue about, who goes first or second or whatever. If there's a motion on either one of these, and we're talking about both of them at the same time, let's go ahead and make a motion and move forward, if we're done talking about either one of them.
Well, and just back to since we're on Mr. Bacon, the other point, sometimes it's nice to, we don't know, try some, have a different feel. I don't, a fresh look, I don't know. I see this, there is a lot of background here. There's also a lot of history.
I'll speak as a former P&Z member. It's not unlike coming to this table. You, as an alternate, I went in as an alternate. Green, you've never read the LDR, you have to put yourself into that. So there's a learning curve there. And it was good to have, it was a short time, I think 3 or 4 months, but it was good to have time to observe meetings and protocols and to frankly read the document, the book. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Well, I have a couple questions about Mr. Bush before we vote on him. I'm willing to have him come and answer some of these questions, but I have two. Number one is I see in his application, he's indicated why he wants to be in the P&Z, and we know he's served in that capacity before, both as a board member and as a chairman. Mentioned here that he wants to ensure that Mexico Beach develops the following statement as shows in the draft comp plan dated 2018. He wants to make sure that, so I'm not going to read all of it, but he wants to preserve Mexico Beach's family-oriented quality of life, small-town values that have been its tradition, and economic beneficial growth. But my question is that's not what the comp plan says today. The comp plan is dated 2023, the one that's on file here. He's referencing a draft comp plan from 2018, which I don't doubt that he helped draft. My question is he advocating for changing the comp plan? Because this is something we just did. It's something that takes years of planning. It's got to go to Tallahassee for approval. So I would like to hear.
Yeah, I don't know if, I guess I'm gonna ask for some direction here from, the attorney.
Can I answer that question?
proper to do that when all parties are not available?
Well, typically, if you're gonna have somebody speak, you'd have all of them speak.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, but you all set the policy. You set the policy, you're the chair.
Okay.
You know, going back to
Can we just finish this part first? So you have a question. The question is,
Well, so really everything I just said is a statement first, and then I'm going to get to my question. So my statement is it looks like this applicant is making an assertion, making a reference to a previous version of the comp plan that is no longer in effect because it's the draft comp plan. So it's not a concern, it's just a question. Why would you quote chapter and verse a previous comp plan, the draft comp plan, not the current comp plan? Here's my concern. At the January P&Z meeting, Mr. Bush spoke for a few minutes on the aspect regarding the lot split at, let me pull it up here. It was during the discussion for the lot split at 121 2nd Street. And Mr. Bush got up and spoke for a few minutes about some of the neighboring residents around 2nd and 3rd Street's opinions. And, during that conversation, though, he made a statement that really was concerning to me. And I rewatched the video last night to confirm, but we know exactly what he said because it actually made it into the minutes. So I'm actually looking at the Monday, January 5th P&Z meeting minutes, and it says here, it's been recorded. Jim Bush, Mexico Beach, stated that just because the LDR and the comp plan allows things to be done doesn't mean that it needs to be done. So that actually woke me up when I was watching for the first time, because that's a head scratcher for me. We just had someone who is not only just a general resident who has been paying attention to P&Z, but a former P&Z member just said, we don't have to follow the LDR. That to me is a fundamental violation of the responsibility of a P&Z member, which is to make recommendations to the city council based on law and ordinance and general practices. And the LDR, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Attorney, the LDR is law because it is the what we want to do as a community. The LDR has to go to Tallahassee for approval every time it is modified.
No, the comp plan goes to Tallahassee.
Sorry. The comp plan, you're right.
But it is a bigger one.
Yes.
The priority is comp plan.
Comp plan and then LDR. And so just to be clear, Mr. Bush, and I'm reading, I'm quoting because it's in the meeting record. Mr. Bush stated that just because the LDR and the comp plan allows things to be done doesn't mean that it needs to be done. That to me sounds like a giant lawsuit trial. If any member of the P&Z were to go to the table for any issue brought to that table with that attitude, that's a problem for me. I would love to hear what anybody else has.
No, that's, we just brought up Mr. Bacon, but we've obviously bleeded over into, we have two in front of us. And that would be, and I can't ask the question, but the question, could Mr. Bush, I've seen past meetings, could he follow the LDR and comp plan as it is written? And I've been in meetings years ago where votes were made that they did not follow. It wasn't the LDR. Don't know, I mean, you still have your right to vote, but it concerned me years ago, and it would be concerning now. In the current P&Z meeting, it's been said again. I mean, we have these rules to follow, and whoever says whatever rules should be changed or whatever, that's for a discussion. It goes through the process, but we've also had our LDR and comp plans from LDRs from 91, you know, it's just, they weren't just drafted overnight, and I think a lot of people spent a lot of time to develop these rules, and for people, I mean, we all have to be objective when we come in, and we have to look at what we're given this, here it is. If that document needs to be changed, then it needs to go through the proper process. But that's some of my That would be my big concern.
Any other concerns?
I think, you know, what you were saying, about the comp plan, and he's referring back to the date of 2018, at least he knows what a comp plan is, and he has understanding of that. Because of his experience here as a city citizen, and because of his past experience of planning and zoning, he's quite knowledgeable of information regarding the city. You know, once again, a lot of times an alternate soon becomes a full member because we see a lot of changeover, and it is a voluntary position, so.
All right, well, for hearing, we have 2 applications here. Which one you want to bring up? Move on or move off?
I would like to make a motion. Are we ready to make a motion?
Sure.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we choose Jim Bush as the member of the planning and zoning.
There's a motion from Mr. Bush. Is there a second?
As the regular member.
Regular member, yeah.
Regular, seat 4.
Seat 4 from the planning and zoning.
No second? We'll go ahead and move on to the next one.
Or would we want to consider Mr. Bush as an alternate? Can we make a motion for that?
We're gonna close this motion.
Okay.
And yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and close this motion. Is there another alternative motion? Either one of them, Bush or Bacon.
So, then I would like to make a motion that we choose Mr. Jim Bush as an alternate for the planning and zoning committee.
As number 6, he would be number 6.
He would be number 6.
Position.
Okay.
But if we don't have the seat filled, you would automatically move into the seat.
Actually, the alternate post 1 and alternate post 2.
So he would be post 1.
Alternate post 1 and alternate post 2, and seat and post 4, which is a regular member, are all
Right.
open.
Okay.
So
Post 1 and
alternate
post 2
one and
are
two.
alternates,
Okay.
yes.
Okay,
So
so,
the alternate one.
do I need to repeat the motion?
Sure.
Okay, I will repeat the motion to make Jim Bush alternate number 1 for the planning and zoning committee.
The motion, is there a second? There's no second, go ahead and close. Mr. Bush? Mr. Bacon? Jason had some input on it, anybody else?
I agree that Mr. Bacon's application is thin, but I don't see anything that's disqualifying at all.
I think, good point by Mr. Cox, that, you know, it's a starting point.
Just something, like I said, it's a little thin, and if you can't put them in an alternate, because there's not a seat.
Is there a motion to move forward or not?
Are we in a position that we can allow more time for more citizens to apply for this?
We can do anything we want.
Okay. So if we're thinking, you know, this is a little thin to make an actual member, and we actually need a member plus 2 alternates, I would suggest that maybe we give it a little bit more time and see if more citizens will step up to the plate.
Yeah, I mean, I'd note for the record, if you would like, that we keep this app possibly for an alternate. I don't know how this were at this meeting You know,
Okay.
we didn't, can we do that?
Can we fill the alternate before we fill the
No,
permanent?
it'll just slide right in, I think.
Is that
I wouldn't want to risk that.
I think you do, that'd be a
Procedurally,
carryover.
you probably should fill the regular position first.
All right, so it sounds like the consensus at the table is go ahead and ask for more applications, give it more time.
Yeah, we're not disqualifying Mr. Bacon, we're just holding it up.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yes, sir. He
Yep.
still applied, you all have not taken any action on him, so he'll stay in the pool of that.
And I guess that goes with the other, well, there's a motion.
Yeah.
So that would be, Julie, that would be y'all's responsibility to advertise that a little bit more on the website?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would we have a time limit on that? Would we need a time limit?
Well, we'll probably bring it up in the next couple of weeks,
Okay.
but we may need more time depending on, let's see how it goes and see if we get more applications.
Okay.
Our goal would be put it on the agenda for the 9th, but if we don't have applications, we don't need one.
Would anybody like to maybe state what is what responsibilities, when somebody becomes a member or an alternate, what responsibilities do they have? Like how often are the meetings? Maybe a lot of people don't understand what's involved in that as far as their commitment to volunteer for that.
You're saying that maybe we put something together, I think we have.
Go into more detail
job
about
description.
that.
Can,
Yeah.
can I make a statement regarding that? Under general times, they meet once a month, okay? But for the last 10 months, we've not been in general times. We've been theoretically moving down the road on LDR review. So they committed to meeting twice a month. And it is a big commitment. I mean, it's a complex document. You gotta acquaint yourself with the comp plan and the LDR. So yes, it's a commitment, and it's not just going to the meetings.
I think Ms. Hamilton's asking, is there a possibility that instead of just posting, there's a possibility we could maybe give it some detail?
You can have some details,
Julie,
and more information given to the public.
Well, and I would encourage anybody who cares about the town, if you want to get involved, it's a great way to get involved and learn more about not just planning and zoning per se, but learn a lot more about the city and what's going on, frankly.
We could add some detail to the post. Revisit on the 9th. Is that good, council? All right. Moving on to the next thing, citizens' comments. Any citizens' comments? Come on up.
Jim Bush, 130 Palm Street. Okay, since y'all obviously don't want me on the planning and zoning, I appreciate your support, Linda, but I'd like to go ahead and withdraw my application because I would eventually end up on the board as an alternate. I'd like a little clarification here. When I said just because the LDR says something is allowed doesn't mean it has to be done. I'll give you an example. For commercial property, according to the LDR, a single family home is allowed to go in there. The reason that something like that is approved goes before the Planning and Zoning Board and then the council. If it were automatically approved, it wouldn't have to go before the council. It wouldn't have to go before the Planning and Zoning Board. We have a limited number of commercial properties available. If you continue to put single-family residents on that commercial property, we'll have no more commercial property available. That's why you're able to use your judgment as to whether or not that's a good fit. That's what I said. That's exactly what I said. The last thing is, I really appreciate where the board's going on this master plan thing, the master growth plan. We've been working at it a long time trying to get one up. I know you had a lot of discussion in the last meeting about it. And I'm really happy to see that you're getting serious about it too. However, I would disagree that the first thing you need to do is to go to a professional. Professionals can do a lot that the planning and zoning or even you as a board can't do when it comes to planning. But the city needs to have a lot of input to give them in order to know what to plan, what the city wants to be, what the city wants to be in 5 years, what the city wants to be in 10 years. When you establish that, give them a network or give them a plan to work with and then let them fill it out. But just don't go to them automatically without the city having some input on the 5 or 10 year plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
Yeah. So, what do you?
Julie Gardner?
Yeah, sorry about that. Julie Gardner, Mexico Beach. So, we have workshops for everything else. To go behind what Mr. Jim said, we have workshops on everything else. Instead of having a bunch of workshops with citizens or tasking planning and zoning, which at this point is a waste of time, why would we not have a workshop with a city planner so we can do it all at one time and just do it one time and not have to have multiple meetings about the same things, talk about the same things 5 times and kick the can down the road repeatedly. Let's get something accomplished. Let's hire somebody, sit down with them, sit down with the citizens, hold a workshop, and just move forward. I mean, I think it's a waste of everybody's time to just keep doing the same thing over and over and over.
Well said.
Any other citizen comments? Come on up.
I'll add one more.
Oh,
Lisa, you wanna go?
No, go ahead.
Carrasco, 26th Street. I agree with that sentiment that Ms. Gardner just stated about having both at the same time. I'm not gonna get into housing wise, but one thing I think that we could do better at in getting more citizens involved, whether in this case the P&Z board or getting a workshop set up to discuss with a potential city plan professional, would be advertising it a little bit more heavily, which to get people excited and like there's a line in the sand. These are the dates, just like FDOT did with their 12-foot, multi-use path, right? These are the dates you have to respond, and after that, that's the way we're going forward, so it doesn't keep kicking the can down the road. But I think part of the reason that happens sometimes is people are busy and they don't necessarily always check the website and see what's going on. And yes, if you want to be involved, you should be, but at the same time, people are busy these days, so that's
Lisa Logan, and I'm speaking as a private citizen, not as a member of P&Z. I know you're tired of hearing it, but I'm going to say it again. I've been here for 25 years. I have attended virtually every meeting of every kind that has been in the city. I have documentation at my house and my home office of every plan that has come up, every so-called development plan, every so-called vision plan, vision plans of 2007, vision plans of 2013, and over and over and over again. It is the same problem with the same consequences. It's kicked down the road. We have a different council set up almost every year. You never know what the council is going to decide. I'm not saying you 5 specifically. We don't know what you're going to decide though in the future. We have meetings after workshops. We get a handful of people who come. We get all sorts of people talking behind the scenes, but nobody actually shows up. When they do, we write it down, and then nothing gets done. And the plan at its core does not change. We specify what we want for the town. It has remained the same for the past 15 years. I'm not going to go into what it was, what it is. We've brought in planners, we've brought in outsiders, we've tried to put together insiders. If you don't put it together, you're not going to change the number of people who come. It's difficult at best, and this problem has been here since I've been here. It is difficult at best to get people interested in coming to meetings and saying what they want, or even applying for P&Z. That has been an age-old problem. It's not going to get any better. And I couldn't tell you why, because I have wondered about that all these years. The time has come for there to be a development plan, a citywide development plan. And I see the same problems being repeated over and over. And I have handed in plans to the city, and of course they were ignored. So I will once again try to give some pointers in writing of things that you can consider to do, because this has got to stop. We have got to make some progress, and the only way to do it is to put a comprehensive plan in action that councils every year will agree with, and you don't keep changing it up. And you're not going to find too many other ways to get people involved until progress has been made.
Anybody else? Audience? You guys can close the audience. Open up to staff.
Yes, sir.
Can I just make this statement just before we I'm speaking from Richard Wolf right now, not, and I know I'm sitting at this table and the mayor, I got that. I know, council member and all that, I got it. And I know I don't have to protect these people at this table, they're big and strong and they can speak for themselves, but I get a little insulted by some of these comments just made. I mean, we've been making a lot of progress. I mean, we came in with a bucket of, I don't want to sound like Trump, okay? We came in with a bucket of crap to start to work with, okay? And we put a lot of things in place, and these council members have all worked on it. This staff, every one of them, have worked very, very hard at what they do. I don't think there's any game plan here. Projects, you want projects? How many projects are going on in this city right now? 4th Street, 15th Street Bridge, walkovers, pump stations in several different areas, cul-de-sac. We've made progress on the pier, made progress on police and fire, amphitheater. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and I'm sorry, I'm a little bit insulted by that. And we've tasked planning and zoning to work on the LDR. They're working on it. It's something that doesn't happen overnight. So, and again, I don't have to protect these guys, but that's just my feeling. This staff is working hard. Yes, ma'am.
Since it was clearly my comments that insulted you, let me say this.
I didn't say you, but okay.
No, but you said the comments that were just made, so
Comments,
obviously it's me.
Yeah.
So, all of the projects you named, yes, they're going on, and yes, that's progress. In my mind, those are city activities in progress. That is not the same as a development plan for the city. Those are...
Listen, we didn't even have a capital plan, a 5-year capital plan until last year.
You and I are obviously, in my opinion, talking about two different things. So I'm sorry that you got insulted, but I wasn't talking about the things you were talking about. I just want to clarify that. So there was no need to be insulted because I'm talking obviously about something different.
Good to deal. All right. Staff comments.
We had a couple of RFQs that were given to the city this week. One for the sanitation service. We received 4 firms that signed up for that. For the lobbyist positions for consulting, we had 7. So we've had quite a bit of interest in some of these projects. This week, we're going to devise the score sheets for the city council members to come by and score the request for qualifications so that we can then bring those results back to the city council meeting. And I did want to say that when it comes to the lobbyists, that is very timely because I received a couple of phone calls from aides of particular state congressmen as well as our state representative. Mr. Griffiths himself extolled the virtues of having lobbyists from the cities because of the services they provide. Some of the public perception is it's a waste of money and there's no need for them. But what they do is that they do have the service where they can make sure the applications for appropriations is done in a timely manner, done in a professional manner, done on time and that sort of thing. They can go ahead and be the ear for the community into the legislators so that they understand the importance of our little projects. So we're really looking forward to the lobbyist one as well. The sanitation, you know, I've said to the sanitation department as well in this meeting before that I really believe that when it comes to sanitation, we, the city, could do it cheaper and better than a consultant and a firm to come in. But at least we have to, you know, take a look at what type of things they can offer and kind of what price point. We did not do an RFP, which is proposal. We did the queue for qualifications, in part because that's some of the state regulations that require that. The sanitation, once we get done through the score sheets and get one of the 4 firms picked, we have to go to the trouble of what the levels of service and what we want them to accomplish. And then once we establish the level of service, then they will give us a price that's involved to do that. And it's at that point the council has a big decision to make. You know, do we jump ship and go with the firm, or do we go ahead and do it on our own? We have made a lot of progress in changing things this past year due to the work of the council as well as the staff to make the sanitation in the black and not the red as it has been the past few years. We are in the black at this particular time. When the 96-gallon cans come, we pay that bill. We'll be back in the red, but that's for a temporary time. Moving on from that, we had a conversation with one of our consultants about some of the FEMA funding. When it comes to FEMA replacing items destroyed in Hurricane Michael, there was an issue that when it comes to park funding, we have a couple of $100,000 left that we can maybe do an alternate project for. And these are not 428 funds so that the money can be used for whatever else project we want. They have to be used for parks and that sort of thing. When you do parks and things, $200,000 is not a whole lot of money. And I think the one thing that was brought up that has been destroyed by Hurricane Michael and not yet rebuilt is the 7th Street bathroom. The reason that's not been rebuilt is because it had to be placed on stilts, which it was not in the past. That way we comply with the current requirements. Something of that sort, something as small and seemingly insignificant as a bathroom, you know, we're probably talking $750,000. So if we were to say, go ahead and pursue the 7th Street bathroom, $200,000 is all we're going to get. So that means we have to find the money elsewhere. And I know Hunter's ears just perked up a little bit back there. They could maybe help with some funding on that on a different side. But if you, as the public, and you as the council have any ideas where we could use this kind of money for an alternate project for parks, by all means let us know, and we'll, I'm not expecting an answer at this particular meeting, but at some point, let me know what ideas you might have, and I could throw that into our consultant to see if we could do an alternate project. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. City Attorney?
No, sir. Other than you had 882 and 884, I hope to have 883 back to you at the next meeting. that'll be an ordinance on a franchise, electric franchise, that'll be coming. And then the long-term, in April, there will be an ordinance on annexation of some property that you all had entered into an agreement 3 years ago to annex. So the time frame for that will be April.
Who's that, Farmdale?
No, that's
Sunstock.
Sunstock.
Sunstock, oh, okay. Is that all you have on your plate to work on for us, or?
Oh, no, sir, I gave Mel a laundry list of things that I was working on. Those are just the things that are gonna come back in ordinances for you.
Okay. Good. Department heads, any comments?
Things are running well, things are good. Morale is up and we're flying good.
Okay.
Great.
Sam, any word on the delivery of the garbage cans?
We're hoping we hear something at the end of this week,
Okay,
and maybe next week we can start delivering the cans.
because we already have the kickers on the trucks.
We're already putting the door hangers out today as we speak.
Okay, good.
Door hangers are just communication of what's going on.
Absolutely. Announcing the new arrival of the 96-gallon cans.
Okay.
Sounds important.
Everybody done?
All right, council comments, table? Yes, sir.
I'll go first. And this is a conversation Mel and I had, have had previously before this meeting. We talked a lot, about P&Z, we talked about the LDR review. I talked to 3 P&Z members. There's some frustration, and as a council member, I'm frustrated at the pace that that's progressing. I mean, we're basically about 10 months in and with no resolution in sight. I don't know what's got to be done to get that back on track. I mean, timely meetings, progress reports back to the council maybe to create more of a sense of urgency, and I don't know if that's with, I know it's not with staff, it might be with our contractor. I'm just saying, this is what I'm hearing from P&Z members. Secondly, I'll voice a little frustration on a different topic, and the whole protracted time this sanitation thing has taken. I know we, during budget season, went over and over and over the urgency to address it. The delivery of the cans has been protracted. This 5 months to get requests for qualifications back. I mean, it just seems like that's taken a little too long. The next thing is the planning. I think this council owes the citizens, we have an obligation to get what citizens want to be involved with a professional to create the vision. We all have our own ideas about what the 5, 10, 20-year vision for the town should be, but we need to address that. And maybe most importantly, and I did mention this to Mel, we need some sort of a process to keep old business in front of the council. We have great discussions about an item, and then it falls off into the abyss. And if we talk about a point, whether it's parking or sanitation or whatever, it needs to be like at least not 2 meetings ago. At the 3rd meeting, we ought to be reviewing our old business. Actually, probably at every meeting. If there's something we didn't get done, it needs to be brought back on the agenda the next meeting, and that doesn't always happen. So I would just ask that we all work together to try to make sure we do a better job for the public of staying on top of our old business. So that's all I've got.
Yeah, to step back on the planning part, obviously, it is frustrating. We went through the whole last budget season kicking around this LDC, LDR. Finally got it back on track. We thought it this budget year, put the money aside, but it's been lagging. like other things, and it's been brought up here at this table before today, this planner, I mean, and you hate to wait and say, well, we gotta wait till budget time. But what is gonna be the plan for the plan, you know, we need somebody here. We don't need an hour a day, 3 hours a week. You know, we have stuff that requires somebody to be involved, and that person to help move the process, you know, to get it to where, because like you said, look at the LDR. I mean, here we are, it's just what, in and out there. I mean, there's been some progress made. It's not against any one thing, but what is that you know, I know the beach had tried to have a planner before, and it was just in the moving and shaking, it just went by the wayside. Is that the goal, or are we gonna do, we've talked briefly about contractor, but when I hear contractor, you know, it's good, but we need somebody there constant, hitting the wheel, you know, getting it done.
Well,
And to help lay out these other plans that we have, but we have, like the LDR at hand. I mean, it's a little smaller piece of the puzzle, but I mean, gosh, it'll be next year, and it shouldn't have been. The LDR is not that out of whack in itself, but it needs to get done. We're under state guidelines to update it, right?
Mhm.
So.
When's
But
the last
back
time-
to what we're talking
When's the last time it was updated?
I don't have it with me. So
You remember that, Lisa, the last time it was updated, LDR?
The LDR was 2008.
That was the comp, and then the LDR, I think, was before, because we're almost 10 years
Now, we
on
update
the LDR.
we update the LDR on a regular basis. 'Cause,
Well, I'm talking about
like
a
total
full review like we did the comp plan.
A total review. We did the comp plan just before the hurricane.
Yep.
And we were in the process of starting the LDR review when the hurricane hit. But previously, the LDR from start to finish, as a matter of fact, Jim was the one who led it for a year and a half.
After the hurricane, rather than putting the planning and zoning board in charge of the LDR, Tanya gave it to some students at Florida State. And they did the review and the changes that were done at that time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there was something in the book about 21, 20, somewhere.
Yeah, they did it, I think they started it in 2019, and they didn't get it to us until Tanya was gone, I think.
Which was 2019.
For a
I'm
year.
looking-
So before that, the LDR was done in 2008, 2009.
So we're well into it with a year, so I mean, are we really behind, or are we?
Well, I'm looking at the
Keep
title
moving
page of the
along.
LDR, and it says amended through February 13th, 2024.
Well, that's the
because that's
amendment.
That's the
Those are
amendment.
just the amendments to it. That is
But I'm
not-
getting back to the planner, like, I wanna get to somebody, like Steve's, we're bringing up, and I've heard it everywhere, and to get us a strategic plan and process too. But also that person to help, like, get this, let's get it done.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I appreciate everybody's desire to get planning going. Sometimes it takes fresh blood to remind us this is what we should be doing. We should be doing strategic planning. I think we've had fits and starts, but I'm a proponent of just getting it done now. And we've got North Florida Professional Services on contract for something different. They're our grant writer, but we all remember from the review of that contract, them as well as the other bidders, I believe most of the bidders, including North Florida, they all do planning for local Florida communities, and we chose North Florida for the grant writing. But if there's a aspect where we have the funds to do a contract modification or extension between now and when we actually have to budget for this, which is not until August for next year, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. The parallel I want to bring is, remember, this city didn't have a finance director until what, a year and a half ago? And we got by as a community for decades in fits and starts without one, and then now look at how much better we are by having somebody permanently on staff. Now, I don't think we're ready necessarily to hire a permanent, full-time on-staff city planner. I think we need to grow into it by doing an outside consultant, and who knows if a year or two later we decide as a council, this is great, now we need to ramp it into gear and actually hire somebody on staff.
But on that same note, Eric, that's the thing, we have a planner on contract. Already.
So it's a matter of how much we want to spend.
That's right.
Well, or do we want to switch, you know, to, that's the decision of the council will have to decide, because we need to get things moving forward. We've had.
It's just taking way too long. I mean, I don't want to be stirring the pot, but it's just, I was on charter review, and that process was seamless. It was well managed. We had an outside from Florida League of Cities consultant. We had we had an attorney present. You know, we met consistently. It got done. Right now, I think my frustration, what I hear from people on the street, is it's a lot like the 96-gallon cans. We hear it's happening, but when? You know what I'm saying? And that document and the comp plan, along with the charter, are the most important documents in the city.
Well, y'all know we were told, and we're getting stretched, I'll shut up here. We were also told that it's time to get, but right after the LDR, we have to go right back into the comp plan. It is already time to update the comp plan. It will be 10 years in 2028, or whatever you want to call it, it was adopted.
So we need to budget for that.
But it's not, we're not just looking for a fix for one, well, this thing is, and it needs to, we're getting, you know, obviously we're growing, and we need to manage it, and we do need people to help us. But we need people that, you know, it's, hey, need it done right now, you know.
So everybody here at the table has a project that they truly believe needs to move forward in that have long time frames. The 25-acre site, the Mexico Beach bypass, there's something that all falls under planning, and we need to put that plan together so we can make strides towards our individual pet projects.
Well, and I'm going to say this too about planning. We want a planner to, whoever that is, you've got to be a collaborator, not a director. You got to be a collaborator, not a director. And you've got to be available. You know what I'm saying? You've got to be available. If you can't have a meeting because the attorney's not here, that's a problem. You know, if Tim was consistently not available, that would be a problem.
I was gonna say, have I missed something?
I was just using you as an example.
All right, there's obviously an appetite to look into getting a planner, whether it be part-time, whether it be with our current contract that we have open, or a full-time. This is something that the city administrator has talked about before. Let's look into it, let's see if we want to spend some money.
And I'm 100% behind a lobbyist. I think we talk to communities that have them. I remember when I went to the Bay County Legislative Dinner a couple of months ago, and I introduced myself, first timer at Mexico Beach, everybody said, you guys are doing great, but you know what you really need? You need a lobbyist. That's what they all told me.
All right, do you want to update anything to the council about yesterday, or just kind of?
Certainly can if you wish.
Yeah, I'd like to at least let them know what we heard.
Mr. Garrett and the mayor and I met yesterday with some Bay County utility people. because we have this recurring issue of the public thinking that we're out of capacity for wastewater. And we were told by Bay County officials that we wish we had Mexico Beach's problem, because we're in the 30% range of our capacity. They are over 100%. So we asked them about, we have a development that needs some assurance that wastewater capacity is available should they decide to build. And we asked what we could do for some assurance. Well, the answer was, well, we as Bay County can't help you because we're over 100%, of course. Our only option, because we're not a party to the AWT agreement from 1996, is to get capacity from another community who may not need it. So that is actually what we did in 2016 when I was here. You know, we bought 150,000 gallons at that time, and over that time we spent $900,000 for that extra capacity that we have not yet used. So people complain about the rates are too high. That could be one reason. So now we're faced with how to fix this. The only answer is get some assurance from another community who might not need the capacity to which they were allotted. That way they don't have to pay for it anymore. But we don't need that capacity right now. If we were to get that extra capacity now, we're going to be paying for a number of years before we actually need it. And in the 30% range, it's going to be a number of years before we're going to need that extra capacity. So what can we do for the developer that's concerned about capacity? One of the ideas that were given yesterday was maybe they can agree that if they want to come, perhaps they can agree to pay some of their tap fees, some of their impact fees up front. That locks them in and also locks their availability for capacity. So should that happen, then like I've heard others say, first come, first served. You know, if you lock that yourself in, then you're gonna for sure come once you pay that money. Because what has happened in another community in the area is that they were told that they were going to develop fairly quickly, so they've went ahead and built their own package plant and that sort of thing, and they have yet to turn it on because development didn't come as promised. So that's another reason why locking some advance payment, you know, from the developer might be a smart idea, not just for us, but for them as well. And keep in mind, there was a big concern from members of the public when we had a discussion about, you know, this sort of thing. They want to make sure that the rates that we pay as the citizens aren't increased because of future development. They want to make sure that our pooled cash of, what, 10, 11 million stays there. They don't want to have to pay for something that is not their fault. But keep in mind that should this particular development pay these tap fees and the impact fees up front, then our costs are taken care of. In other words, all the upgrades we have to do to take care of this new development will be paid for by those fees, so it won't cost the citizens anything. So I think that pretty much is the long and short of it.
Yeah, that is the long and short of it, and the reason to go there is to find out next step. We want, you know, there's a lot of hearsay of, well, you need to be at 80% to move forward. That's some of the conversations we've heard. So we wanted to go to the source and have them actually tell us, what are the next steps? How do we really move forward? How long does it take? Okay, so they're going to put us in contact with. In fact, I got the email this morning. They're going to put us in contact with a couple sample letters on how we write up the agreements with developers, number one. And number two is we need to get to the base and talk with the people at the base, because Tyndall has a lot to do with the sewer. And Bay County may say, yeah, go ahead and do it, but Tyndall can stop it. So they're going to put us in contact with a group that we start talking at Tyndall. Again, the whole effort was to find out facts of what we need to do if and when we need more sewer.
Well, and I'll just speak, since you was on out of turn, but since you brought that up, you know, I brought up at that meeting when that development was discussed, that we should definitely, I talked about getting the developer to pay. Now, I think they should not pay for all the upgrades, but if it has to be through collection of tap fees, impact fees, ahead of time to bring them in, that's definitely needs to stay in the front of the mind, you know, because the city or the citizens doesn't like to be on the hook for.
Yeah, if you want the guarantee, that's the guarantee.
Well, not just the guarantee, even if you didn't, all those, Elizabeth laid out all those upgrades that would need to be done to the system, I was like, ooh, you know, I would want just to take care of that, but if we have to give them the allotment, yes, they definitely should pay the fees up front and come to the table.
And also keep in mind that Anchor report did mention MX1 need to be upgraded. We're talking about $1 million, $1.5 million. That's big money.
That was
But also keep in mind, that's got to be done whether this development happens or not. So that's on us, you know, ourselves.
And let's keep in mind, MX1 not only has to be upgraded before we absorb Nickel Creek, but it has to be moved. And so, I don't know if there's a way to separate the dollars that it's gonna take from moving and upgrading MX1 at the same time. But, yes, I agree with virtually everybody who's existing city residents. Existing residents should not pay for new city development, whether it's infrastructure upgrades or it's what. Now, the tap fees and, you know, that's fine. I'm saying there should be no net cost to the existing folks here. But if MX1 has to be moved, at the same time, that's not the developer's fault. They should pay for the MX1 upgrade, but it's not on them. It is on the city and the existing residents to move MX1 from the south side of the road to the north side. So that's my own.
Anything else?
I just wish, as we're talking about this development, we could actually use the name of Nickel Creek, because we are talking about almost 300 more townhouses and 100 and something single-family houses, plus a bunch of commercial stuff. Every time I talk to somebody on the street in this town, they have never heard Nickel Creek. This is going to be a major change for our city down 386. So I wish we would be more transparent and use the word Nickel Creek and make people more aware of the enormity of that development.
Yeah, the units, that Bay County did a number of units that could be built in Mexico Beach, and used the number 2,000. We currently have on our list a little over 1,000, is that true?
Right, we've got a lot of growth in our wastewater capacity. So, you know, they think in terms of ERUs and that sort of thing. You know, we go by gallons and that sort of thing. They said that 2,000 ERUs is what we have available today. And if you look at our list of potential development with commercial as well as townhomes, the homes you were just talking about, we don't touch 2,000.
Including Nickel Creek.
Including Nickel Creek, we'll say the name.
Well,
People need to be more familiar with that. They need to understand what that's about.
Sure. Did you have something, Lisa, real quick?
Yes, real quick. Y'all just said that we're at approximately 30% of our capacity. Is that what
Correct.
Okay. We may be at 30% of the capacity, but the plant that is on Tyndall is way over 30%, and that is a finite number that can handle, which is 7 million gallons a day. That's where the issue comes in. That's where the city has got to do something about it, because we may be at 30% system capacity, but the capacity of that plant has just about been reached.
We'll verify on that.
yeah, and that being, not just that being said, but we're in the process, Rural Water has done a study, but we are in the process. We're at a low capacity, but our infrastructure needs some addressing.
Yes.
And we're working on that regardless of who comes on, because that's the other part of this situation is, you know, we can handle, but can the system? And we're moving fast, and that's one thing, we talk about stuff getting done. We are actively going down that path of getting the DEP, everybody to say, okay, what needs to be done? Let's look at this system, let's get it redone. Regardless if another house is built or 10 houses are built, it's gotta be done, and we're doing that.
And I totally agree, that's a very important distinction, Jason, is that members of the public sometimes talk to us as if they merge the two issues together. Mel's the third city administrator in a row to tell me, we do not have a capacity problem. We do, however, have an infrastructure problem. We see that with the Nickel Creek report. Our infrastructure needs to be upgraded. Some of it because it's aging, it's 25 years old. Some of it because it only barely survived the hurricane and it's been able to squeak along for another 5-6 years, and now it needs to be replaced. And then some of the infrastructure has to be upgraded for the new Nickel Creek development. But we don't have a capacity problem. So,
All right. Okay, any other comments? Not, a motion to?
Well, let's see,
Sorry.
I did want to remind everybody of the gumbo cook-off, and that's going to be this Saturday. It starts at 10 o'clock. It'll be at the boat ramp. A lot has been said on our city website, and then special events, which is an all-volunteer committee. They have a website as well, so a lot of it's been put out there. Some of the information maybe that has not been put out there is, let's see, it's Forgotten Coast Beach Company. They're going to donate the use of their golf carts to us, and then we have volunteers that are going to run people a shuttle service, and the two spots will be Parker Park and the Canal Parkway, and they will bring people over to the boat ramp for the Gumbo Festival. Let's see, here, this is the t-shirts. They're $25 a piece, and they'll be sold at the event. Right now we have about 19 different vendors that are going to contribute to make the gumbo. It'll only be gumbo this year, not any Brunswick stew, because we've had lack of participation in recent years. And the prizes are like $1,500 for first place. It's the restaurants and the private sector. So right now we have 4 restaurants, so 3 of them are going to win a prize. I think it's $1,500, $750, and $375 for the third prize. So those are really some good events that we're going to go on. Also, it's going to be the regular Salter Market. We have like 24 vendors that are going to be coming to that. That's pretty exciting too. There'll be raffle baskets. We're going to do the 50-50 where you buy a ticket for $5 and you can win 50% of whatever's collected that day. So we have lots of opportunities to make good money. Of course, everything goes for the benefit of the 4th of July fireworks, which this year is going to be real special because it's the 250th birthday of our country. So we're really hoping to do well. So this is how the fireworks are funded, and this is the big fundraiser that we anticipate will bring in the money for what we need. But the fireworks become more expensive every year because of tariffs, especially this year. It's going to be quite expensive, but we want it to be especially nice because it is the 250th birthday of our country. And it is free admission. Oh, also, there'll be an ATM machine. Everything is cash there, but there'll be an ATM machine on site. So, and then the wonderful thing too is we have the bake sale. That's all profit, so we're asking for volunteers to continue to bake items for that, and then we've had that on our website too, as to where you can bring your baked goods, which is going to be Thursday and Friday. And we do ask that you don't wrap them or anything, because we're going to put everything in the clamshells, and it'll be labeled. If you have a church organization or business and you want to put your own stamp on the shell containers, then that's advertisement for your business or your church. So we've gotten pretty creative this year on the committee, and everything is volunteer on this committee. The people that help out on the day of the event, plus our city workers, that's not volunteer, but they help us tremendously. We couldn't do it without all the departments that come and help for this event. So I hope everybody's able to come. We should be having pretty good weather for Saturday.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
You're good.